Hey everybody, it is about 4:15 Central Time now, and I'm excited to hop back on live. We're going to do some severe weather coverage of another busy day across the high plains, particularly in the Texas Panhandle, with what looks to be evening of tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. Once again, yesterday was an extremely busy day. You'll remember we had a couple of twisters, very photogenic tornadoes yesterday across the Texas Panhandle. One of those was very close to Matador, Texas. Another one developed a little bit north of there, and those were all classic supercells. And today we're seeing showers and thunderstorms that have started firing across some of the leftover boundaries from yesterday's storms. And so as those have tapped into the energy the atmosphere has available and some of those boundaries, we're already starting to see some thunderstorm development, some severe thunderstorms, and one confirmed tornado that's on the ground. So we'll jump into that. First, here's a bigger picture out there. Late this afternoon, we have a tornado watch that's in effect for a good chunk of the Texas Panhandle. That is in effect till 10 p.m. tonight. That's anywhere in yellow. South of there, we have a severe thunderstorm watch. It's in effect here until 10 p.m. and that's anywhere that you see in orange. That does include parts of southern New Mexico as well, Carlsbad into southwest Texas near Fort Stockton, where we have one severe thunderstorm at the moment. So tornado watch, severe thunderstorm watch issued for eastern New Mexico, a good chunk of the Texas Panhandle, and stretches back into southwest Texas as well. And right now we do have one confirmed tornado that's on the ground. We're looking right now from the Lubbock radar site, and this is a tornado warning that was observed a moment ago. It looks like the tornado was there, may have briefly lifted with these types of supercell thunderstorms. We don't want to let our guard down at all, because in an environment like we have today with plenty of energy and a strengthening low-level jet, this storm is more than likely going to recycle and then drop another tornado here a little bit later. But regardless, we have what was an observed tornado just a few moments ago. The tornado warning has been downgraded. Now this is a radar indicated tornado warning that's in effect till 4:30 for eastern Bailey, as well as northern Hockley counties and southwestern Lamb counties, again until 4:30 for this supercell thunderstorm. And it is pretty tightly wrapped up. You can see obviously where we have that hook echo taking place, and then this is where you have the rotation, the inflow, the winds that are rapidly rotating. You more than likely have a wall cloud ongoing. Again, just a few minutes ago, there was a confirmed tornado with this particular storm, and the storm at this time is moving to the east at 10 miles per hour. So just like yesterday, this is an extremely slow moving storm. Like many of the supercells that we've seen over the past 24 hours, they're moving extremely slowly. This one only at about 10 miles per hour to the east. So let's first show you what the velocity product looks like on this, and we're going to use storm relative velocity. And still, there's pretty strong rotation at this point just to the south of the community of Beck. So this is where you have your winds that are blowing towards and then away from the radar site, where those two meet up, obviously, is where you have the rotation. And there is a pretty good signal of a tight couplet here and maybe another developing circulation just to the south of the community of Beck. That is Beck, Texas, and the storm that is moving to the east here very slowly at about 10 miles per hour. So there was a tornado on the ground just a few moments ago with this particular storm. It has since lifted. The storm is more than likely recycling as we're just sort of getting to the peak heating of today, and possibly will drop another tornado here in the near term once that storm is able to recycle a little bit. Look to the north as well, east of 84 highway here. There could be a little second area of circulation developing just to the east of Sudan there, possibly about to cross over 385 highway in the Texas Panhandle. So again, this is a developing situation, and it could be one where you have, again, what was your main area of circulation here near Beck, Texas. That is since weekend. The storm is recycling and then sometimes when you get a thunderstorm to recycle, what ends up happening is a new area of circulation will develop. And it does appear, at least with this supercell, that the first area of circulation has weakened. The tornado that was on the ground has lifted out near Beck, Texas. And then now we have another area of circulation developing here east of Sudan as the storm recycles. So I would think that the next place we may get a tornado to drop here is close to Amherst and coming into Coffeyville. So if you're in this area, I know that there's no formal tornado warning, but let's play the game of trying to catch these things before they drop. And right now I would say there is a new area of rotation that's developing here near Amherst, just to the east of Amherst, right along the roadway of 37 here, where 37 intersects with 2479, and coming into Coffeyville, a new area of circulation and possibly a developing tornado as well. So we have now two areas of rotation that we're watching. This was our first one, area number 1, which prompted the original tornado warning near Beck. That one still has some rotation. And then now we have another area of rotation as the storm is sort of recycling that is very close to Amherst, Texas, and about to cross over into Coffeyville, Texas. No formal tornado warning at this point, but one may be issued if that rotation continues to tighten up. I should also mention that this particular supercell, and we only have a couple of supercells out there right now, but the one that we're watching does also have some lime-size hail within it, where you see some of these darker lavender colors. That's 2 inches in diameter, so that's some very large to gigantic hail that is impacting some of these communities out here near Amherst. Again, Coffeyville, same spots where we have the rotation developing. There also could be some lime-size hail in here too. The community of Beck, Texas is also getting in on some large to gigantic hail at the moment too, lime-size hail. So let's put a track on our 2 areas of rotation, and then I want to take you up to another tornado warning that we have northwest of Amarillo. But for the moment, this appears to be the dominant storm. But keep in mind, storms are sort of just starting to form out there. We're getting into the part of the afternoon where we have our daytime heating that's taking place. Thunderstorms that are developing along outflow boundaries left over from yesterday's storms, and all of that is sort of coming to a head right now. And now for the next couple of hours is when the tornado threat will start to maximize. But like I said, we do have a tornado warning that is in place right now. For eastern Bailey, northern Hockley, and southwestern Lamb counties until 4:30. This is radar indicated rotation. This was an observed tornado a short time ago. It appears that the tornado has lifted, and then now the storm is starting to recycle with potentially another area of circulation up here close to Amherst, Texas, that's about to cross over 385 in the next 15 to 20 minutes coming into the Coffeyville area. But let's first track the area of rotation near Beck, Texas as it moves to the east. Again, very slowly, only at about 10 miles per hour. So Litchfield, if the storm keeps its current pace within the next hour, is when you'll be dealing with some of that lime-size hail and the possibility of a tornado in your vicinity. Let's jump up north to the northern part of the cell where we said there could be some recycling taking place. Another area of rotation here near Amherst coming into the Coffeyville area. This part of the storm, the northern part of the storm, also is moving to the east here at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. So regardless, you can expect some very big hail coming into the Fieldton area in the next 57 minutes. And if the rotation continues to tighten up, the possibility of a developing area of circulation or a tornado that we're going to have to keep an eye on as well. Let's go to the storm that is near Amarillo now and is also tornado warned at the moment. So we'll change radar sites, jump over to the Amarillo radar site. This is a mean looking storm as well. The rotation perhaps not quite as pronounced, but baseball size hail, a destructive storm here. It has that destructive tag on it. Baseball size hail with this storm that is about to move into the community of Marsh. So let me first read you the tag and the text from the tornado warning. This is a tornado warning for west central Potter County until 4:45, Doppler radar indicated rotation. This does not include Amarillo. This is very far northwest corner here of Potter County where we have the tornado warning. It does include the community of Addie. And as we pull our velocity, storm relative velocity, which again shows us where the rotation is, how strong the rotation is, I would say there is some broad rotation in here east of the community of Addie, Texas. The rotation is not strong enough to where I think that there's a tornado on the ground. Again, we have to keep in mind and take the fact that the rotation is weakened with a grain of salt and think to ourselves, okay, it's very possible that in today's environment, the storm could recycle, redevelop, and drop a tornado further down the line. But for the moment, in portions of west central Potter County, it appears that the rotation is weakened substantially. I don't think that there's a tornado on the ground right now, and there really is not even a signal for a strong area of rotation at this point. Notice how over the past several radar scans, the rotation near Addie moved to the east. It is weakened some now, and again, I'm confident to say at this point that there is not a tornado on the ground with this storm. However, there is still some extremely large hail. Check out some of the reflectivity contours here. You can see a wide swath of what appears to be baseball size hail, and that is pretty typical with these supercell thunderstorms on the north end of the storm. Here out in the high plains, you get your hail core, and this is a part of the country that gets some really big hail. And on the north side of a supercell thunderstorm is where you get your hail core. The hail here that is up to baseball size, and we can measure this. Check this out. You have a wide swath now of what appears to be 6 miles in diameter of baseball size hail on the north end of this storm that is in northwest Potter County. And so again, that hail that is up to baseball size, 2.75 inches, is going to cause some problems as it moves into Marsh here. Let me give you the speed that the storm is moving. Again, this is a storm up near Amarillo, northwest of Amarillo. It is moving to the east at 10 miles per hour. It is a destructive storm for far northwestern Potter County that is producing baseball size hail at the moment, maybe even a little bit larger than that. You can start to see where we're getting some of these teal colors popping up that will soon cross over Highway 287 near Marsh within the next half hour is when we're probably going to get some of that baseball size hail. Obviously a very destructive storm. Let me track it out for you and show you where it's headed as it moves east right now at about 10 miles per hour. That puts it into the community of Marsh within the next 34 minutes. So Marsh, Texas, in the next 34 minutes, you're most certainly going to get some very large and destructive hail up to, again, the possibility of baseball size, if not a little bit bigger, coming into Marsh. And then we still have formally our tornado warning that's in effect here for portions of Potter County for another 18 minutes. But like I said, the rotation at this point in time has weakened pretty substantially. There's still some broad scale rotation in here for sure in rural areas of Potter County, northwest Potter County, but I don't think that there's a tornado on the ground at this point. We'll keep an eye on this broad rotation as it heads east. More than likely, whatever's out there in terms of rotation is probably going to pass to the south of Marsh, but Marsh is more than likely going to get some of that very big hail, if not the rotation. So we have two main supercells that we're tracking out there in our tornado watched area. Both of them are tornado borne. One of them a little bit more concerning than the other. I saw a question a short time ago about whether or not Lubbock was going to be impacted by any severe weather. So it sort of all depends on what happens now with our storm far northwest of Lubbock. We're keeping an eye on this one near the Litchfield, Texas area. It is moving extremely slowly to the east at about 10 miles per hour. This would probably be on a path closer to Plainview versus Lubbock, but the afternoon is still somewhat early relative to severe weather. And if we do see any thunderstorms fire out here near the Levelland area, closer to sundown, Whiteface, Morton, those would pose an issue down the line eventually for Lubbock. But at least for right now, there is not a near-term severe weather threat for Lubbock. You're under a tornado watch, though, until 10 p.m. tonight. You know, sort of like yesterday, it was the type of day where we had 3 or 4 main cells that popped up in the heating of the afternoon. What happened was those were our main cells. A few of them went on to produce some pretty substantial tornadoes. They then died out as the evening went on, and they left a boundary draped across parts of the Texas Panhandle. And now we're seeing new showers and thunderstorms that are firing up here along yesterday's leftover boundaries. And so that is the focal point for more severe weather here heading into this afternoon and this evening. So two main thunderstorms that we're watching. One of them is northwest of Amarillo in Potter County, and we have another supercell thunderstorm that is almost, I would say, moving at just a very slow crawl to the east. It may be even less than 5 miles per hour at this point. And the tornado warning now has just been allowed to expire. So the tornado warning that was in place for central Lamb County, central Lamb County has been allowed to expire. We're keeping an eye possibly on a new area of rotation that is developing here. Like I said, our main area of circulation that was near Beck, Texas, has weakened. Now we're going on to see possibly, as the storm has recycled, a new area of circulation and possibly a developing tornado right over Amherst, Texas. In addition to that, we have line-size hail. So this is a very dangerous storm. I would say that anybody that is in the vicinity of the storm, certainly Amherst, needs to be in their tornado shelter at this point. Again, there is no formal tornado warning in place, but we are watching what appears to be a developing tornado, or at least a strong area of circulation right now, that is over Amherst, Texas, coming into downtown Amherst. And we'll have to keep an eye as to whether or not we actually can get a tornado to drop out of this, and if we see any confirmed reports from that out of any storm chasers or the National Weather Service. But it is definitely suspect, I would say, in Amherst, Texas. You need to be in your safe spot out towards Cofferville, Texas. You need to be in your safe spot as well. As you look towards your west in Cofferville, Texas, you may be seeing a very darkening sky, a lowering wall cloud, possibly a developing tornado. At the moment, only a severe thunderstorm warning is in place right now, but regardless, I would say that we're both watching here. All of us are watching what appears to be a developing area of circulation, possibly a tornado over Amherst. You can see you have your couplet here, your inbound winds, outbound winds blowing towards and away from the radar side, where you have the red that's kind of rubbing up against the green there. That's your area of circulation, and your developing tornado possibly, and a pretty strong couplet that is formed there. So we'll keep an eye on what happens with that part of the storm. I do want to mention, again, we're kind of bouncing back and forth between the two storms that are tornado warned at this point. We have one northwest of Amarillo, another one here near Litchfield, Texas. We have another tornado warning that is developed with our northern storm northwest of Amarillo, a new tornado warning. Let me read you the text. It's from the National Weather Service in Amarillo. They are saying that a new tornado warning is being warranted and is needed for central Potter County now until 5:15. And let me go ahead and show you the reflectivity on this. And you'll remember, this is a storm that is producing the baseball size hail that is now crossing over 87 Highway into the Marsh area. Now on the south side of the supercell, we do still kind of have this suspect hook echo. And what's happening is you get a lot of rain that's being wrapped back up into the mesocyclone part of the storm. That's what gives it the pronounced hook feature. The National Weather Service is saying they think there's still enough rotation to put out a new tornado warning with this storm. I think just from what I'm seeing here on the velocity scan, I don't think that there's a tornado on the ground at this point. The rotation itself is rather broad. In fact, it's almost tough to pick out a little bit. There could be some broad scale rotation in here southwest of Marsh, but definitely nothing that is indicating there's a tornado on the ground at this point. Again, it's still kind of early in the day, and it is possible this is just part one to this storm, and it may go on and recycle and drop another tornado with time. The rotation may increase, but at least for right now, and again, I'm speaking specifically to the tornado warning in central Potter County. I don't see any evidence of a tornado on the ground, nor do I see any evidence that one's going to drop here, at least in the near term, in the next couple of minutes. But we'll keep an eye on this very broad rotation. Again, the National Weather Service saying they think there's enough rotation to issue a tornado warning for central Potter County. I don't necessarily see that rotation at this time, but we'll watch it. Regardless, this is a dangerous storm that continues to produce baseball-size hail here coming into the community of Marsh. For right now, it looks like the most intense part of the hail core is just north of Marsh, right along US Highway 287. But on its current path, you may get some of those baseball-size hailstones in Marsh within the next 20 minutes or so. Here's a track on the storm as it moves to the east at 10 miles per hour. That's the good news about today's storms, is they're moving extremely slowly. So Marsh, within the next 25 minutes, you're probably going to get some of that large to very large hail. Baseball size hail is possible. And then south of there, again, is where we have what appears to be a little bit of broad rotation, and the National Weather Service sees that rotation. It is strong enough to them where they're going to continue the tornado warning for central Potter County. This is more than likely staying north of Amarillo, at least this particular storm, but we'll keep an eye on any developing circulation or if that rotation happens to tighten up. Do want to let you know also there are new supercells that are developing here within the past few minutes for northeastern Oldham County until 5:30. Baseball size hail, ping pong ball size hail and winds to 60 miles per hour possible with this cluster of thunderstorms that sort of seem to be straggling areas just west of US Highway 385. For the moment, this is in mainly a rural area, but again, at least the southern supercell here may be getting into Tascoso and the Boys Ranch area with time. I'm talking about this cluster as it heads east may eventually impact Boys Ranch down through Tascoso within the next half hour to 45 minutes. But 2 tornado warnings now. Again, one of those is in Potter County, north of Amarillo. Another tornado warning that's in effect right now, and this is now an observed tornado. So again, the National Weather Service has upgraded the tornado warning from radar indicated to observed. That means the tornado is on the ground. That's in effect for southeastern Bailey and southwestern Lamb counties. A confirmed tornado is located 4 miles south of Amherst or 5 miles northwest of Littlefield, moving to the south at 15 miles per hour. So they say that this is now a confirmed tornado that's on the ground here west of Littlefield. We're going to change radar sites, going over to our Lubbock radar site, and this has sort of been an interesting evolution with this storm. I want to just play you the past several minutes with this. Look at what's happened. We've gone from virtually no rotation on the southern part of the supercell to a tornado that has developed in the past, let's say, 2 minutes or so with this. And what appears to be happening is you may have 2 different boundaries that are sort of colliding, and that has been enough of a forcing mechanism to cause a rapid increase in rotation. And now what appears to be a confirmed tornado that's on the ground right now to the west of Littlefield, Texas. Again, this tornado warning does not include Littlefield, but it does include Littlefield Municipal Airport, as well as County Road 282, County Road 131, where you have County Road 282 and County Road 131 west of the Littlefield Municipal Airport intersecting. That is where you have a confirmed tornado that's on the ground right now. And we'll see what happens with the next scan, but this has popped up in the past couple of minutes. It is a developing tornado, and whether or not we see this storm continue to strengthen or the tornado strengthen is going to be something that we're watching extremely closely. And somewhat erratic movement on this storm. Like I said, we probably have a couple of different boundaries that are colliding together, but you have erratic movement with this storm. It is not necessarily moving east any longer, I would say. In fact, more than likely, the storm is almost standing still. The tornado that's on the ground is on the ground. And check out the velocity couplet here. The new scan that's just come in a second ago, new scan of the velocity couplet has showed that the tornado is now moved to the east. So we have a track on this. It is moving extremely slowly to the east now and is just a matter of miles. We have a tornado that appears to be about 2 miles to the west of the Littlefield Municipal Airport. A confirmed tornado that is on the ground. As we look at the velocity couplet here, we can actually turn on storm relative velocity. That might give us a little bit cleaner of a scan. Where you have your reds and greens meeting up, you have winds that are blowing towards the radar site in Lubbock and then away from the radar site in Lubbock. Where those two come together, winds that are blowing towards and away from the radar site, obviously those are different directions. That's going to be your rotation. And of course, that's also where you have your confirmed tornado on the ground. Now, it's unclear whether or not the tornado is still on the ground. It was about a minute or two ago. The storm has had somewhat erratic movement as it's been merging and interacting with different outflow boundaries. That can sometimes cause a tornado to strengthen. It can also sometimes cause a tornado to weaken a little bit. But regardless, we need to treat this like it is still on the ground. The National Weather Service says this is an observed tornado, again, that is now to the 3 miles to the west of Littlefield Municipal Airport. The tornado warning itself, for the time being, does not include Littlefield. In fact, the rotation, the confirmed tornado that's on the ground right now, is approximately 5 miles to the west of Littlefield. We can go ahead and track this out. The storm is moving extremely slowly now. It was almost standing still for a short period of time, but now it is moving extremely slowly to the east at about 10 miles per hour. So here's the track as it moves east at 10 miles per hour. That gives you about half an hour lead time in Littlefield. If this particular storm was to hold its strength, if the tornado was to stay on the ground, or the storm was at least able to continue to rotate, it would be very near Littlefield within the next half hour or so, Littlefield, Texas. So start thinking about in that area. If you have friends or family in that area, giving them a call, letting them know that there is a tornado to the west of them. No formal tornado warning yet for Littlefield. However, if the storm continues on its current path down the road within the next 30 minutes, at least a severe thunderstorm warning or possibly an additional tornado warning may be required for the community of Littlefield. Check this out. We have a really big hail core now with this storm. In addition to an observed tornado, we now have a massive hail core, extremely large hail. So this is an extremely dangerous storm. We have hail that is up to 4 inches. This is now softball size hail. It has been a long time since I've seen softball size hail on a storm. So extremely large hail, destructive hail. When you get hail up to 4 inches, that's the type of hail that is going to cause major damage to vehicles. It's going to cause damage to homes, to windows are going to be blown out with that kind of hail. So this is a life-threatening storm. It is a destructive storm. It has an observed tornado, and then also you have 4-inch in diameter or softball size hail. Now the good news is this is somewhat of a rural area, but of course we know that there are still homes out here, there's farmland out here, cattle that are going to be impacted by this. And so where you're seeing this deeper blue color, you don't really see that color pop up very often on reflectivity, but this is where we have 4 inches 4-inch in diameter hail, if not larger, that is now right over County Road 282 and also crossing over County Road 131. So if you know anybody who lives out ahead of this 4-inch in diameter softball size hail or observed tornado, this is the type of situation where you text them, call them, let them know that this is an extremely dangerous storm. Again, a confirmed tornado and softball size hail that is now crossing over County Road 131. This on its current path will head east with the softball size hail likely straddling County Road 292, coming into where County Road 292 meets up with County Road 161, and then eventually the Littlefield Municipal Airport within the next 20 minutes or so. The National Weather Service still saying that this is a confirmed tornado on the ground with softball size hail. Okay, that's the type of hail that is going to do massive damage, right? You're going to have big time issues to vehicles, like I said, to homes, to property. It is going to be destruction when you start talking about 4-inch hail. Now, I don't think this entire storm is producing 4-inch hail, but we can infer just by looking at the radar here that there is going to be a swath at least 2 miles in diameter of big 4-inch hail with this storm. So obviously a life-threatening situation here. Again, this is all west of Littlefield by about 2 miles. The National Weather Service just updated the text on this storm. They're still saying it is an observed tornado. The warning continues now. Let me read you off the text from the National Weather Service so we're perfectly clear on what's happening here. This is a confirmed tornado located 5 miles west of Littlefield, moving south at 10 miles per hour. So the storm movement has changed a little bit. A few moments ago, I told you that the storm is moving pretty erratically. So that's still the case. It was moving to the east. It now appears to be dropping south again. So again, that creates an even bigger problem, right? When you're having trouble tracking where the storm is going and pinpoint exactly where the tornado is and where it's going to head next, that creates a big problem. So we are tracking, again, what appears to be still a confirmed tornado, at least according to the National Weather Service, that is now 5 miles to the west of Littlefield and moving south at 10 miles per hour. That's not to say that in a moment or two that the storm movement is going to switch again and then start moving east. The problem is, like I said, we have storms that are colliding, different outflow boundaries are colliding together, and more often than not, when that happens, it creates some really big issues in terms of A, storm movement, being able to track out where the storm is going. Storms tend to move more erratically. And then also B, pinpointing exactly where that rotation is. And just by looking at the latest scan that came in on storm relative velocity just a moment ago, it appears that the rotation has weakened a little bit here. It isn't quite as pronounced as it was a few scans ago. In fact, check this out as we kind of review and go into animation mode here over the past several scans. You can see what was a very pronounced tornado signature here on velocity, a TDS, tornado debris signature here on velocity. We've lost that, and the rotation has weakened slightly within the past couple of minutes. Now, whether or not the tornado itself is still on the ground is going to be tough to tell. It may have just lifted a few moments ago. The other thing that may be happening is as the main area of circulation has lifted, there could be another area of circulation as the storm's trying to recycle on the southwest part of the supercell. Let me explain to you what I mean by that. As we turn back on our high-res velocity, we could pick out that there was, again, at least for a short period of time, a tornado on the ground here to the west of the Littlefield Municipal Airport. Now, within the past couple of minutes, that radar scan has weakened, the velocity scan has weakened a little bit. There could possibly be another area of circulation and possible tornado that is developing again now on the southwest part of the supercell as it starts to recycle a little bit south of 54 Highway. We'll see whether or not that's the case, but at least for the time being, the rotation has weakened. It is possible that the tornado has cycled a little bit, but we still have 4-inch in diameter hail with this storm, and that is really significant. So 4-inch in diameter hail is going to cause some massive problems. And I'm just looking at some social media reports and some pictures of that confirmed tornado that was on the ground west of Littlefield. As of about 20 minutes ago or so, there was a large tornado on the ground west of Littlefield. It looks like the storm may be recycling. The rotation has weakened a little bit and the tornado has lifted, but again, we can't let our guard down with this storm. At any moment, another tornado could drop. So just because the tornado is no longer on the ground with this Littlefield storm doesn't mean another one can't drop at any moment, especially with the erratic movement of the storms and also the outflow boundaries colliding. It is very possible that we're seeing just the beginning here of the supercell thunderstorm as we get into the peak part of the afternoon. with supercell development and tornado potential. Again, regardless as to whether or not we have a tornado on the ground with this storm any longer, and it appears the tornado may have weakened, we still do have really significant amounts of hail. The hail core has come down a little bit as well, at least in terms of its width. But there are pockets, regardless, of 4-inch hail out here, out near the Blue Lake area. And that 4-inch hail is going to cause some big issues. So notice how the hail core has come down just a little bit in size here over the past few minutes. That is a sign that A, the storm is probably starting to recycle, which means it is weakening temporarily, and B, that it may again produce that wide swath of 4-inch hail that we saw a short time ago in the future. So still an extremely dangerous storm. And then on the north side of this, we have another supercell that is kind of merged with our tornado-warned supercell that is producing, again, 2-inch in diameter hail and winds to 60 miles per hour. This one is 6 miles northwest of Littlefield, moving south at 5 miles per hour. So sort of two different areas that we're tracking within this main supercell. You have area number 1 here, and then area number 2 here. This, again, initially looked like it was two different boundaries that kind of collided together, two different storms and outflow boundaries that collided together. That's what created the tornado, or at least helped aid in the tornado genesis to the west of Littlefield. On the northern part of this storm cluster, the supercell cluster, you still do have hail that is up to lime size, which is extremely large, and also some wind pockets up to 60 miles per hour that is now coming through Amherst, Texas. Amherst, Texas getting in on that 2-inch hail within a matter of probably 15 minutes or so. It'll be coming into Cofferville. So be prepared at least for 2-inch in diameter hail and winds to 60 miles per hour. Obviously, the more mature part of the storm is on the southern end, to the west of Littlefield, where we have the 4-inch in diameter hail and at least what was, for a brief period of time, a large tornado that was on the ground. The tornado looks like it has lifted a little bit, no longer on the ground or is in its final rope out stages. But again, on a day like today, we can't let our guard down completely, because this storm, just looking at it, it is an absolute monster of a storm. It is probably going to recycle. It has all the energy in the world out there. And look at some of these additional supercells that we're trying to fire up here north of Lubbock. The inflow from our main supercell near Littlefield has actually absorbed some of those additional storms that are trying to go up, and is creating a motion where those supercells are now sort of being ingested into our main supercell because of just how strong the inflow was. And so that is just a testament as to how extremely strong this supercell is. As a matter of fact, this supercell northwest of Lubbock, west of Littlefield, might end up being our main supercell of the day and go on to produce additional tornadoes as the afternoon and as the evening continues. So an extremely dangerous situation here with our supercell that is west of Littlefield, Texas. It has produced at least one large tornado. It appears to be recycling or weakening a little bit. I don't think that this is the last of it. I think that we're going to see additional strengthening with this storm. It's probably just taking a few minutes to get its act together. It has undisturbed inflow, and this will probably be, again, a monster of a supercell throughout the afternoon, throughout this evening, and go on to produce more tornadoes. I do want to let you know, at least for right now, the storm is a few miles to the west of Littlefield. It is moving extremely slowly. The general motion here has been either south or east extremely slowly, only at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. So we'll see whether or not we get another tornado warning that's going to be issued for the community of Littlefield, Texas, downstream. I would suspect eventually some type of polygon is going to come out, and that's why I've been saying, if you're in Littlefield, you absolutely need to be thinking about where you're going to go, where your severe weather safe spot is, because in addition to a tornado, we've been talking about hail that is destructive, 4 inches in diameter, softball size hail. That's not the type of hail that you see every day. It is major, destructive. It's going to create problems with homes, with vehicles. It'll blow out windows. And that is why these high plane supercells can be just so intense, because not only on days like this do you have the tornado threat, but you also have the extremely large hail. So I want to reiterate, no formal tornado warning right now for Litchfield. We did have a confirmed tornado that was on the ground several miles to the west of Litchfield. Like we said, we watched it here on radar develop, produce a mature tornado. The tornado has since lifted, and it appears the storm is now recycling. And what's going to end up happening is, as the storm starts to get its act together, it's going to go on, more than likely now, to produce another tornado and some of that very large and destructive hail. So here's the storm relative velocity. And again, velocity is that product that shows us how strong the winds are, A, and then B, where some of the rotation is. And at least in this case, for the time being, the rotation has weakened. There's still some broad scale rotation at this point that is over the Litchfield Municipal Airport, but I don't think that there's a tornado on the ground any longer. When we get our new area of rotation to form, and trust me, it's not a matter of if, but when with this supercell, when we get the new area of rotation to form, it's probably not going to be in the same spot that we saw the first tornado develop. It'll more than likely be south of there. And there might even be some initial signs of that taking place here near County Road 318, where County Road 318 and 181 meet up. There could be some early signs of new rotation developing as the storm sort of matures and recycles a little bit. Certainly not a tornado on the ground just yet, but let's kind of keep a watchful eye out on the area that I just circled south of Littlefield, as it is possible this could be the start of some new rotation. Like I said, our main area of rotation that produced the tornado has weakened out near the Littlefield Municipal Airport. The rotation has weakened to the point where the tornado has dissipated. And now, as this very massive supercell starts to recycle a little bit, it is more than likely going to drop another tornado. The hail size will probably increase again, and it's just going to be a matter of where we see that new area of circulation develop. And I kind of circled this spot here, southwest of downtown Littlefield, for a watchful eye that we need to kind of keep out for a new area of rotation that might be developing. It's a little too early, too premature to tell, but certainly we're going to have to keep an eye on this area here to the southwest of Littlefield. Now, somebody asked, where are we talking about? What area of the country is this? This is in the Texas Panhandle specifically. We're looking about, this is now 42 miles to the northwest of Lubbock. We're watching a very intense supercell thunderstorm that has produced 4-inch in diameter hail and a tornado. The tornado has dissipated. The storm is now recycling, and it's going to go on to produce probably another tornado here with time. Again, look at the environment that we have out ahead of this storm. It is the only supercell that we have in town in this part of the Texas Panhandle. So that means undisturbed inflow. And interestingly enough, we did see a couple of other storms that tried to fire north of Lubbock. The inflow to our main supercell here was so strong that those storms that fired actually merged and were kind of sucked in, so to speak, to our main supercell. So we're not done with this storm by any means. It is going to be a long evening here northwest of Lubbock with our main supercell. Also want to let you know we continue to watch storms north of Amarillo, by just a few miles north of Amarillo. A destructive storm with apple-sized hail that is 3 inches in diameter now for northeastern Potter County. Tornado warning continues for northeastern Potter County. This storm not quite as organized as our storm near Lubbock, but it is still a big deal. I mean, this is an intense storm by any means. On any given day, this storm would be at the top of the list of intense supercells. Notice where you have the magenta colors there. That's where we have the 3-inch in diameter hail. And also, the hook echo here, which again, as I remind you a lot of the times, that hook echo that you see is just a lot of rain and hail that is being wrapped back up into the mesocyclone, the rotating part of the storm, and that's why you get this feature on radar. But you do have a pretty pronounced hook echo here, and there is enough circulation where the National Weather Service has continued this tornado warning. I don't think there's a tornado on the ground right now. The rotation is sort of moderate, not anything that's overly concerning as it crosses over Interstate 87. I think the bigger issue, at least for right now with this supercell, is going to be for the extremely large hail that we're tracking. This is in somewhat of a rural area, but this is near the Lost Mesa and Hackberry Mesa area, just to the west of there, where you are getting some extremely large hail up to apple size, right? Imagine apple size hail falling. That's an extremely big deal as well. It's certainly not softball size like we've seen with the supercell near Lubbock, but still it is intense, it's dangerous, and this storm, like some of the other storms out there today, is only moving northeast or east at about 5 miles per hour, so a nearly stationary storm with 3-inch in diameter hail, or softball size hail, that is sitting on top of US Highway 287. So it's going to be a very rough ride for anybody traveling north of Punit, Texas, along 87 here, US Highway 287 near Gravel Pit Road. It is probably going to be difficult, if not impossible, to travel with the extremely large hail that's falling. More supercells that are developing back to the west here as well. Notice we kind of have several storm clusters with supercell characteristics. They are severe warned, and there could be some golf ball size hail in here, but I don't necessarily think that, at least at this time, any of these are going to drop a tornado. They're kind of fighting over the same energy that we have out there because they're storm clusters. They're not standalone storms, and so it's going to be a little bit harder to get these storms to produce tornadoes. And generally speaking, this area is a little bit north of where we have the best instability. In fact, it is almost running parallel to the cold front. So we'll see what happens. The tornado warning with our Littlefield storm, and remember, that's a storm that we've been paying closest attention to here, has been allowed to expire. So the tornado warning on the Littlefield storm, and again, that is northwest of Lubbock, Texas, has been allowed to expire. But again, I know I'm sort of preaching to the choir here because I've said it so many times. We don't want to let our guard down completely yet with this storm because it is in an undisturbed environment. It is the only supercell in this area of the Texas Panhandle, and so more than likely the storm is going to go on to produce another tornado here with time. It is still, as a matter of fact, producing 4-inch in diameter hail, softball size hail, over a generally wide swath here, and that's the type of hail that's going to cause hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage if it goes over a populated area. So we're hoping the worst of the hail core will avoid Littlefield, but I do want to mention this. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has come out that includes Littlefield. This entire time we've been talking about how the tornado warning and the rotation has been west of Littlefield by a few miles. That has now sort of changed a little bit, and we do have a severe thunderstorm warning that does include the city of Littlefield, and this is not your average severe thunderstorm warning. This is a destructive and life-threatening severe thunderstorm warning, and more than likely the folks that are out ahead of this supercell in north central Hockley and southern Lamb counties have gotten that alert on their phone letting them know that this storm is headed their way. Just an impressive looking supercell here. I mean, my goodness, you have a large, extremely dangerous hail core, that bean shape that's taking place with the supercell, and we have seen that it has had a history of producing tornadoes. The rotation has weakened for the time being. Again, I do think it is possible that this storm recycles to the point where we get another tornado. Whether that happens in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or an hour remains to be seen, but the environment is definitely there today for this storm to continue to produce big, gigantic hail, 4 inches in diameter like we're seeing, and then also additional tornadoes down the line. So it is coming into Littlefield here in the next few minutes, and here's a track on it moving to the east only at about 5 miles per hour. So it's almost stationary. We have an almost stationary storm, but for all intents and purposes, this storm will almost sit on top of Littlefield in terms of the destructive, very large hail for the next 40 to 45 minutes. So it is going to be a rough ride in Littlefield over the next half hour or so as this storm kind of very, very slowly meanders to the east at about 5 miles per hour. And on days like this, it's good news and bad news, because the good news is you have a ton of lead time as you're tracking a supercell thunderstorm. The bad news is when you get a storm that's only moving to new tornado warning now out. Again, it's interesting. I just said that a few minutes ago, whether or not it is, in 5 minutes or an hour, the storm goes on to re-strengthen and recycle. It looks like that process is happening right now. So a new tornado warning out to the south of Littlefield as this supercell thunderstorm is now recycling, and it's going to go on to drop another tornado. So let me first read you the text from the National Weather Service in Lubbock. It is a tornado warning for north central Hockley County and south central Lamb County until 5:30. So the rotation on this supercell is starting to strengthen again. The storm has pretty much completed its recycling process, and it's now strengthening yet again. And the rotation has strengthened to the point where the National Weather Service has gone in and dropped another tornado warning, and this looks like it could be on the ground. So it is possible now that we have a tornado on the ground. This is gate-to-gate shear to the southwest of Littlefield. So let's call this a confirmed tornado southwest of Littlefield. The latest scan has come in, not quite as pronounced as that initial scan, but still, it is very possible that we have a tornado that is on the ground near now, somewhere in the vicinity of County Road 328, and where County Road 328 and County Road 171 meet up southwest of Littlefield, an extremely dangerous situation with a developing tornado or possibly a tornado that is on the ground in this area. Some other small communities that are going to be in the path of this one possibly down the line is Boehner, Texas. Boehner, Texas, you're included in this tornado warning. It is a good news, bad news type situation. The good news is we have plenty of lead time as we watch this storm. It's only moving, let's say generally southeast at about 5 miles per hour. But the bad news is, once the storm moves on top of you, it's going to take a while to get the storm out of your vicinity. So again, new tornado warning. This does not include Littlefield. The tornado warning does not include Littlefield. Again, this is south of Littlefield. It is west of Boehner, Texas. The tornado warning does include Boehner, Texas, and this is just a massive, mean-looking supercell that more than likely is going to go on throughout this afternoon and throughout this evening to continue to drop tornadoes and large hail. In addition to a tornado that may be on the ground right now south of Littlefield, you have extremely large hail up to 4 inches in diameter. I cannot stress enough just how intense a hailstorm that produces hail up to 4 inches in diameter is going to be. Look at the circulation here. This is going to produce another tornado if it isn't already. Again, like I said, right near County Road 328 and County Road, this is County Road 171 and 328 and 338, where those meet up with County Road 171 is where you have more than likely a tornado that is on the ground right now, and it is crawling here to the southeast at about 5 miles per hour. Here's Loomis Chapel. If you know anybody in Loomis Chapel, or if you're in the vicinity of Loomis Chapel, you need to go into your safe spot right this second. Do not wait a second longer. And the reason why is because this storm has been extremely erratic today. It has gone on to produce really strong tornadoes. They can sometimes weaken extremely quickly and then go on, the storm will go on to produce another strong tornado 5 or 10 minutes later. So Loomis Chapel needs to be in their safe spot. If you know anybody in the Loomis Chapel area, give them a call, send them a text. If you're somebody who lives out in some of these rural areas near the small community of Loomis Chapel, let's take, for example, County Road 334, County Road 338, County Road 348, near Loomis Chapel, west of the Boehner area. You too need to be taking this extremely seriously and get into your safe spot. This may be a big tornado that's about to drop on this. Littlefield, not included in the tornado warning. Right now, the tornado may go south of Littlefield, but you are getting that 4-inch in diameter hail. This is an extremely tight area of circulation. This is a life-threatening situation now with this storm as it passes south of Littlefield. A large tornado may be developing at this time, moving into the Loomis Chapel area. So if you're in Loomis Chapel, get to your safe spot, stay in your safe spot. Again, it is possible that we may have an extremely large tornado that is trying to develop, and there you go. There is your gate-to-gate shear that is taking place. You have inbound, outbound winds that are meeting up right over County Road 181. Almost precisely where you have County Road 328 meeting up with County Road 181 is where you have your developing area of circulation and possible tornado just a few miles. In fact, only now, this is going to be 1, 2, 3.5 miles to the northwest of Loomis Chapel is where we have, Loomis Chapel, Texas, is where we have a very strong area of rotation. It wouldn't surprise me if this tornado was on the ground, and the storm is moving to the southeast at 5 miles per hour, erratic movement. It has been moving east and then southeast at about 5 miles per hour. So you 100% need to be in your safe spot. Look at that circulation. I mean, you can take the whole storm, and this doesn't happen very often, but you have the entire storm that is rotating, and you can see the rotation here on velocity. It's not just where we have the wall cloud that's rotating. It's the entire storm here that is rotating, and the motion all the way up to where you have the hail core is rotating on this supercell thunderstorm. So big time tornado possibly dropping at any moment now to the west and northwest of Loomis Chapel by just a few miles. Storm relative velocity confirms that this is an extremely dangerous situation where you have gate-to-gate shear that is meeting up almost exactly over County Road 181 and County Road 338 with a possible tornado that is either on the ground or is about to drop at any second. And the storms today have been extremely erratic with their motion. Part of the reason why is they've been colliding with different outflow boundaries. And those are left over from yesterday's storms. And so because of that, the storms have been hard to track. They have also been moving very slowly. Here's a bigger picture. For those of you who are just watching, just tuning in right now to the live stream, here's a bigger picture that we have. It is a busy afternoon across the Texas Panhandle. We have a tornado watch that's in effect right now until 10 p.m. That includes Lubbock and Amarillo, as well as Plainview, some of the other larger communities in here, Memphis, Paducah, Texas, Brownfield, Texas, all underneath that tornado watch. And then also a severe thunderstorm watch that extends to the southwest here. This does include parts of the Pecos Valley. It includes parts of eastern New Mexico. That severe thunderstorm watch is in effect until 10 p.m. tonight as well, where the parameter is not quite as intense for tornadoes, but you still do have a couple of supercell thunderstorms out there that are producing some ping pong to $half size hail. Our biggest concern continues to be for the storm right now that is near Littlefield, Texas, that at this time is very close to dropping a tornado and has a history of producing 4-inch in diameter softball size hail. The rotation and possible tornado is to the south of Littlefield now by just a few miles, and my goodness, look at that rotation. This is an extremely violent situation. If there's not a tornado on the ground right this second, there is extreme motion with this storm, and a tornado is going to drop at any moment if it is not already in progress. So extremely dangerous situation. check out the gate-to-gate shear that we have with this storm. You have winds that are blowing away, and we sometimes say the green represents where you have the wind that's blowing away, the red towards the, green blowing towards and red away from the radar site. Green and red usually depict those colors. In this case, you almost have what appears to be a blue here, or darker blue, because of how strong the wind field is. So this is a very, very strong storm, and if there is a tornado out there, we can tell you exactly where it is. In Texas, it is near County Road 348 and County Road 191, where 348 and 191 meet up. That's where you have your tornado that is either rapidly developing or is already on the ground. And let's go ahead and sample some of these winds. So outbound, you have 90-mile-per-hour winds, or say inbound, 90-mile-per-hour winds. Outbound, you have winds that are up to 40, 50 miles per hour. And it again, more than likely, again, is about to drop a tornado. And if one drops, or if it's already on the ground, it is probably extremely strong, if not violent. There is a lot of motion coming into this storm. The inflow, the warm air that's coming into this storm is extremely powerful, and it is intense. I mean, we have seen supercells that have tried to go up here northwest of Lubbock, and what ends up happening is, because this one supercell, our main supercell, is so intense, kind of what ends up happening here is you get more storms that try to fire, and those storms get absorbed and, for lack of a better word, sucked into the inflow of our main storm, because that's just how intense it is. So definitely a really violent situation here, and dangerous situation. Littlefield, Texas, by the way, is and has been in the thick of it with the hail core over the past few minutes. We have seen this storm have a history of producing 4-inch in diameter hail. Now the hail size has come down just a little bit, just a tad, now to about baseball size hail, which relatively speaking is still extremely large. You have 2.75 inch hail over Littlefield, and that baseball size hail, maybe it's not quite as intense as when we had the 4-inch in diameter hail. Baseball size hail is still going to do damage. And then maybe more concerning at this point is the rotation with this storm. Their storm relative velocity, you have gate-to-gate shear. This almost is looking like a tornado debris signature. Let's go ahead and pull out we don't always do this, and I don't always show this, but dual pole radar is an amazing piece of technology, and what it can do is help us identify objects that are in the sky that are not alike. And so what that means is, if there are things like tree branches, debris that are being lofted into the air, this dual pole radar is going to recognize that it is different than, say, ice crystals, rain, or hail, and it's going to note that difference, and it's going to bring a drop in colors here to the correlation coefficient, which indicates where the tornado could be, or the debris from the tornado. At this moment, I don't see a drop in correlation coefficient. That could be because if there's a tornado on the ground here, it is still going over a mainly rural area with a lot of dirt, so we're not getting a ton of debris being picked up. But boy, I can tell you this is now looking like a TDS here on velocity. And my goodness, this is coming into Loomis Chapel now. Loomis Chapel, Texas has maybe 2 minutes or so to get into their safe spot. Loomis Chapel, the small community of Loomis Chapel, is going to be impacted by whatever this is, and there's a good possibility that it could be a tornado. I want to just very, very quickly look at social media, and from what we're seeing here, from what I'm seeing on social media, is it is very possible that this is a large, dangerous tornado on the ground, and it is rain wrapped, which is even worse. And look at the velocity here. We'll change from velocity over to reflectivity, and if there is a large and extremely dangerous tornado, which at this point in time is a very real possibility coming into Loomis Chapel, it's going to be rain wrapped. Look how tightly wrapped up this storm is. You have the hook echo and the tornado and some of the rain here that is being almost completely wrapped back up into the northern side of the storm. And so there is very little space to be able to look into this storm and tell whether or not it is producing a tornado. And for the people and the storm chasers who are maybe out here or somewhere like here, hopefully not, but they are also having a tough time looking back into the storm and getting real-time observations just from social media. I'm looking a lot of storm chasers out there who are trying to look back into the storm right now. They can't tell what's happening because it is so rain wrapped and so tightly wound up that you have the circulation, the hook echo, that is almost getting completely wrapped back up to where you have the hail core part of the storm on the north end. So this is a rain-wrapped tornado, and just looking at velocity, this is a tornado on the ground. Let's call this a tornado on the ground that is now coming into Loomis Chapel, the potential of a large to extremely violent tornado on the ground right now coming into Loomis Chapel, Texas. And this is really the part of the day that is most concerning. It is now about 5:19 Central, and we're starting to lose a little bit of daylight. And so what's happening is, obviously it's still light out for most of us, but as we start to lose that little bit of daylight, any kind of capping inversion that was in place is completely gone. And then B, you have the low-level jet stream that's starting to kick in, and that will help aid in the development of additional supercells and potentially aid in tornadogenesis of the supercells that are already out there. So here's the latest scan per velocity, and I would like to jump back over to storm relative velocity. And it looks as if with the latest scan that has come in, I'm reluctant to say the tornado has lifted, but it looks as if the rotation out there may not be quite intense. So let's put this in animation mode so you can see. Look at how we had what at one point was a clear tornado debris signature with this storm out near County Road 334, and where 334 met up with 191. You had a clear tornado debris signature for several scans there. Now with the latest scan that's come in from velocity, it looks as if the rotation has weakened some. So that could mean a couple of things. It could mean the tornado has lifted, and it could also mean that the tornado is now in its rope out stage. What it doesn't mean, though, is that this storm is over. We have been through this twice already today with this particular storm. It has dropped a tornado, a big one, and then recycled, weakened, and then went on to drop another tornado, what we're seeing now, or a couple of minutes ago. So I would suspect if what we're seeing is a true weakening trend, and it looks like it may be, at least with this scan, a little weaker, then this storm is going to recycle, take some time to get organized again, and then possibly go on to produce another tornado that could be even stronger down the road. So we need to take this weakening trend that we've just seen here with the velocity scan with a grain of salt. I mean, we can tell you in real time that yes, the tornado that was out there is either lifted or is going through its rope out stage. We can infer that, but B, that this storm, because it is standing all by itself in a very supportive environment, will probably go on to recycle, get stronger again, and then maybe produce another tornado down the road that could be even stronger. And so that is what is probably happening. Again, the rotation now is looking a lot broader than it was a few minutes ago. So broad scale rotation compared to a few minutes ago when we had a tornado debris signature. The other thing I want to mention is, yes, the rotation has weakened some, but check out the fact that this storm is barely moving. It is pretty much stationary over or maybe a mile or two to the northwest of Loomis Chapel. So that's, it's good news because we can see what's coming. It's bad news because some of the same spots that have now been impacted by the storm for the past 20 to 25 minutes are being impacted again. So it is an extremely dangerous storm for a couple of reasons, and one of those reasons being it is just moving so extremely slowly that if you're in the storm, if you're in the thick of it, chances are you're going to be in the thick of it for another probably 10 to 20 minutes. And that's not good news for the community of Loomis Chapel. And it's definitely not good news for Boehner, Texas either, because it's possible the storm is already starting to recycle and then will go on to produce another tornado. And like I said, just maybe an hour ago or so, when the storm was producing a tornado out near Beck, Texas, I mentioned that as the storm recycles, gets stronger again, and then goes on possibly to produce another tornado, it's more than likely where the next tornado drops, it is not going to be in the same place where the previous tornado was. And that's just the name of the game here with some of these supercells. And when supercells recycle and then get stronger and then go on to produce another tornado, usually, it doesn't drop a tornado in the same place that it previously did before. It's usually in a new spot. So we'll be watching that very closely. Again, looking at storm relative velocity, there's still, I would call it moderate rotation here, coming into Loomis Chapel, or just a few miles to the north and northwest of Loomis Chapel, specifically over County Road 191, and where County Road 191 meets up with County Road 348 is where we have some moderate rotation and a storm that may be trying to recycle and then go on to produce another tornado here down the road in the next 10 to 15 minutes. We're probably going to see some recycling. All right, let's take just a moment to pull out from the Litchfield storm and show you what else is going on. We do have numerous severe thunderstorms that have developed out near Amarillo, north of Amarillo, but this is interesting. Check out where we have your cold front, right? The cold front dissects an area from roughly Canadian Texas back west through Pampa and almost through about Clovis, New Mexico. And that cold front there represents where you have a separation in air masses. To the north of the cold front, you have cooler, more stable air. To the south of the front, you obviously have your more moist, unstable air mass that is going to be fuel for severe thunderstorms and tornadoes this evening. Where we have thunderstorms that are starting to develop here, or already have developed north of Amarillo, those storms appear to be on the north side of the cold front. And so, yes, they are severe. They're producing some big hail. But for right now, at least, these storms are not producing any tornadoes. And that's because they may be kind of outrunning the cold front a little bit on the north side. And, it is air that is slightly more stable. There's less low-level wind shear, and so the storms north of Amarillo are probably, at least for right now, not going to be much of a tornado threat. All right, let me look over some of your comments, because that's something I've yet to do, and answer some of your questions. How far is it from Plainview, Texas? And then another comment here about, will it hit Lubbock? So here's Plainview for some reference. And this is the big, let me change radar sites real quick. We'll go back down to our Lubbock radar site. Here's Plainview, and then obviously you have your very intense supercell thunderstorm down near Littlefield that has the tornado warning and has produced the tornadoes. This storm, again, is nearly stationary, but it is right now approximately 38 miles to the southwest of Plainview, and it's tough to tell which direction it's moving, but more than likely this storm over time is going to slowly propagate to the east or southeast and should not be an issue for Plainview. So Plainview right now, you obviously have your intense supercell thunderstorm that is about 40 miles to your southwest and generally will stay away from your location or stay just south of you. As far as Lubbock is concerned, there's no immediate threat for a tornado in Lubbock or an immediate threat for severe weather in Lubbock, but we'll need to keep an eye on that storm up near Littlefield for a long-term severe threat. I'm talking deeper into this evening, so as we go through, let's say 6, 7, 8 p.m. tonight, in Lubbock, we'll keep an eye on that supercell. And then obviously any storms that happen to form out here near the Levelland area or out near Brownfield or Whiteface, if we can get thunderstorms to form in that vicinity, they could be an issue for Lubbock down the road. But for right now, there is no immediate threat for severe weather in Lubbock, but a tornado watch, meaning conditions are favorable for tornadoes, may or is in effect until 10 p.m. tonight. So, it is probably going to be a long evening. It has been a long couple of days for severe weather across the Texas Panhandle. Yesterday was a very busy day. Today is a very busy day. And tomorrow also has a potential of being a very busy day as well across the Texas Panhandle. And today we have thunderstorms out here that have been forming along old and leftover boundaries from yesterday's storms. And I'm looking into somebody who asked about Ralls, Texas, which is east of Lubbock. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize if I'm not. But you two are in a similar spot where right now there is no immediate threat for severe weather, meaning in the next hour or two, but we need to keep an eye on the thunderstorm near Littlefield that's producing the rotation and the gigantic hail. Over time, that storm may decide to slowly propagate to the south and east, and that could be a problem for you later tonight. I'm talking past sunset. We'll also keep an eye on any thunderstorms that happen to develop out near Levelland or near the Lubbock area. Those could potentially propagate and move in your direction too later on this evening. A question about Monday storms in the Midwest. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Monday does look like a busy day. Sunday could be a busy day in the Midwest as well, and Tuesday could be a busy day in the Midwest. So it is going to be a long period of severe weather. Monday, it does look like northwest Missouri, northeast Kansas, eastern Nebraska, and much of Iowa would be at threat for all severe weather hazards, including strong tornadoes, wind, and hail. Somebody said, what about Amarillo? Let's take a peek at Amarillo. So sort of an interesting weather situation evolving for Amarillo. At the moment, you're not formally underneath any severe thunderstorm warning or tornado warning. We do have thunderstorms that are to your northwest, and they are severe warned. Some of those storms that we're keeping an eye on do have some pretty big hail, including lime size with some of these storms that are circling here. Those are moving to the southeast at about 5 miles per hour. So let's give you a timestamp and some possible times of arrival into Amarillo. I think eventually these storms will work into Amarillo. They're moving southeast again, only at about 5 miles per hour. So in 250 minutes. So beyond 2 hours from now in Amarillo, we could have severe thunderstorms moving through. More than likely, those storms that impact Amarillo are going to pose a hail and wind risk over a tornado threat. I think the tornado threat through this evening stays mainly south of Amarillo and a little closer, generally speaking, to the vicinity of Lubbock. So hopefully that answers that question. Want to keep looking into some more of your comments. And let me answer the question about Borger, Texas, which right now is sort of under the gun, so to speak, for severe weather. You do not have any active severe thunderstorm warnings over Borger right now, or in your town or your county, but there are severe thunderstorms a few miles to your southwest. Now, I think that you're going to be pretty good for the evening in terms of a severe weather threat, and here's why. There is a cold front that has actually moved through Borger, and that cold front represents a change in air masses. And so on the north side of the cold front, including Borger, you have cool, stable air that's starting to move in. And for that reason alone, it's going to be tough to sustain any major severe weather threat through this evening. Though certainly some thunderstorms, a little bit of hail, possibly up to quarter size, and wind are possible now for the next couple of hours before that severe weather threat comes to an end by 9 p.m. tonight. So hopefully that helps you answer that question a little bit. Somebody asked about Plainview, Texas again. And let's jump back down to Plainview and kind of show you what's happening there. So Plainview in an interesting spot because to your southwest, you do have the supercell thunderstorm near Littlefield that is tornado warned. That storm is slowly, extremely slowly moving east to southeast at about 5 miles per hour. So for right now, that storm should stay away from you, stay south of you, and not impact Plainview. Let's keep an eye out for more thunderstorms that are developing near Sudan and near Spring Lake. If those thunderstorms can get their act together a little bit and get stronger, they may eventually head towards Plainview. But for right now, let's say for the next hour, there's no threat of severe weather in Plainview. It's all going to come down to what happens out here. And if we can get any storms to develop in those areas where the X's are. If so, they could pose a severe weather threat, including the chance for large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes in Plainview later on this evening. But for right now, no immediate severe weather threat in Plainview. A tornado watch, meaning conditions are favorable for severe weather, is in effect until 10 p.m. tonight. Question about Plano, Texas. So for right now, it does not look like there is any severe weather that you need to be concerned about in Plano. Most of the severe thunderstorms through this evening stay well west of the Dallas-Fort Worth area and stay confined pretty much to the Texas Panhandle, if that puts a little bit of relief in your mind. So for right now, again, here's the bigger picture as we kind of regroup and recap a little bit. There are a couple different areas that we're tracking out there late this afternoon and early this evening. We have severe thunderstorms that have developed along and just north of a cold front near Amarillo. Most of the storms this evening near Amarillo should not be much of a tornado producers and really not produce that much of a tornado threat. I would think the bigger issue is going to be for large hail and damaging winds with the storms near Amarillo and just north of Amarillo. Reason being is they're riding along and just north of the cold front, and anywhere north of the cold front, you lose surface instability very quickly, and that surface instability is key for tornado development. And without that surface instability, you're not going to get any tornadoes. So north of Amarillo, some large hail, some damaging winds are possible. The tornado threat appears to be quite a bit lower. It's south of Amarillo. If we get thunderstorms to continue to develop in that vicinity, south of Amarillo, Plainview, Lubbock, Levelland, Brownfield, all the way out to the Memphis, Texas area. If we get thunderstorms to continue to develop in that zone, more than likely those will be the storms that produce the gigantic hail and also the tornadoes through this evening, as the instability is high, the low-level wind shear is moderate to high, and we have the best overlap of ingredients for severe weather in that area. Let me get back down to our tornado warned storm here near Littlefield, Texas, northwest of Lubbock, and give you an update on that one. So just a reminder, there is a tornado warning in effect for northeastern Hockley and southeastern Lamb counties until 6 p.m. A severe thunderstorm was located 5 miles south of Littlefield, moving southeast here at 10 miles per hour. And just off of pure observation, looking at the radar presentation, I can tell you pretty clearly now that the storm is in its recycling phase, which means it is weakened some, almost substantially in some cases. It's probably going to take now through the next, let's say, 10 to 15 minutes to recycle a little bit, which just means it's taking a breather and reorganizing its ingredients, and then when it's ready, that storm will go on to produce probably more severe weather, maybe additional tornadoes, and certainly some large, gigantic hail once that recycling process is done and the storm, again, is complete with its recycling process. It will then go on to produce additional severe weather here down the line. Still getting some pretty big hail though with this one. At one point, this storm was producing hail up to 3 inches in diameter. The hail size has now come down to about 1.75 inches, which is golf ball size, which is still very big. Anywhere that you see this deep purple color, that's where you have your hail core. That is near Loomis Chapel and west of Boehner, Texas. County Road 334 is where you have the large to very large hail with the golf ball size hail in here. And the storm, again, has been moving kind of erratically. For now, it is moving to the east or southeast, only at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, so pretty slowly. And then as far as the rotation is concerned, the part of the storm that is rotating, at least for now, it looks like has weakened a little bit, and that area of rotation, very broad. There's not a tornado on the ground with this one anymore. It's a very broad area of rotation over Loomis Chapel. And again, this storm may be in the process of reorganizing, re-strengthening, and as it does so, may go on to produce additional severe weather down the line. Other than this one storm that we have that is northwest of Lubbock, again, near Littlefield. We've been saying Littlefield over and over, it feels like, because this supercell has been sitting over the same spot for what feels like hours now. But this is the only tornado warning that we have at the moment. So the only tornado warning that we have right now in the entire country is for northeastern Hockley and southeastern Lamb County in Texas until 6 p.m. Now, additional thunderstorms are probably going to develop out here in the tornado watch area near Memphis. Somebody asked a question about is Levelland okay? So if I was in Levelland, I would probably be recognizing and thinking about where my severe weather safe spot is going to be. For right now, you do not have any active tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings over your county, but there is that thunderstorm cell, as I'm sure you're well aware, to the north of you near Littlefield that we've been talking about for the past while that has been moving pretty erratically. For the moment, it is moving to the southeast here only at about 5 miles per hour, so it is a nearly stationary storm. It is possible, though, that this storm changes directions and for a brief period of time moves straight south. Now, the most likely outcome is going to be that this storm stays east of Levelland. The storm of concern stays east of Levelland, but we can't give you the all clear just yet. So it's sort of a watch and wait type situation, but no action is required on your part right now other than being aware of where your severe weather safe spot is, and then also making sure that you have a way to receive warnings heading into this evening. The other thing I should mention for Levelland is if we happen to get additional thunderstorms that develop here out near Morton, down through Whiteface, those storms would be more of a threat for Levelland than the storm near Littlefield, and just in terms of direction. So we'll watch out pretty closely and let you know if any of that changes here. But for right now, you're okay. I had a question about Midland, Texas. For right now, Midland does not have any active watches or warnings. That is for Midland. Odessa is underneath a severe thunderstorm watch. Generally in this vicinity, conditions are favorable for severe weather heading into this evening. Most likely going to be dealing with a situation where we have hail and wind as a primary concern. That severe thunderstorm watch is in effect till 10 p.m. It includes Odessa. We're watching thunderstorms here out across southwest Texas, near Fort Stockton, near Kermit, near Pecos. Those storms are headed east to northeast, and it's probably not going to be until after dark that Midland sees severe weather, if you see severe weather at all, with the greatest concern being for the possibility of large to very large hail and the chance of some damaging wind gusts. Not really looking at a significant tornado risk there, at least comparatively to spots further north in the Panhandle where there is a tornado watch that is in effect right now. So hopefully that answers that question. Just letting you know that the only tornado warning in effect right now is for our storm near Littlefield, Texas. Somebody said, should we be worried in Lubbock? So just kind of looking at this storm near Littlefield and the fact that it's moving southeast at about 5 miles per hour, it is, again, A, an extremely slow moving storm, but B, throughout this afternoon and throughout this evening, there is going to be a cold front that tries to catch up with some of these storms, and that should kind of eventually help with the speed at which this storm is moving, and it might pick up speed to the southeast here over the next couple of hours, which could put Lubbock in its crosshairs with time, not anytime soon, not within the next hour, probably not within the next 2 hours, but let's say from roughly 8 p.m. on is when this supercell that we're watching, and it may hold itself together because it's such a pronounced standalone supercell, and these are the type of days where you get long track supercells. It could eventually later on this evening pose a risk for Lubbock. So right now, Lubbock not underneath a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, but pay attention because later tonight, that severe weather threat may start to ramp up a little bit. So it is sort of a watch and wait type situation in Lubbock. All right, I want to take a peek at some of your comments here. As someone said, is Midland okay? So again, back to the Midland question. For right now, no active watches or warnings in Midland, which means no action is needed on your part. We're still watching showers and thunderstorms coming out of southwest Texas and southeast New Mexico, moving into the Wink area, the Kermit area here. In the next hour, those storms are kind of moving north-northeast and may eventually move into Midland within the next 4 to 5 hours, probably not till 9 to 10 o'clock tonight. That Midland would be at risk for showers and thunderstorms. Very low tornado threat, better chance for hail and wind in Midland, if anything. Abby asked, will the cold front potentially cause it to dissipate? Probably not. This storm is very far ahead of the cold front. Here's the cold front itself. Actually, I have it drawn out on the map. That blue line with sort of the shark teeth coming out of it, that's where the cold front is. What it might do as it starts to sag a little bit further southeast into the panhandle is allow this storm to pick up speed a bit. So instead of going 5 miles per hour, it might be going 20, 25 miles per hour here down the road. And that's why I said Lubbock may want to pay attention to this one, because if it does pick up speed, then eventually later on this evening, it could possibly have Lubbock in its crosshairs. We're just not there yet. So hopefully that answers that question. A question about Amarillo. So Amarillo, I think your biggest threat through this evening is going to be for the chance of damaging wind gusts and also some large hail. I know you're formally underneath a tornado watch until 10 p.m. tonight, but most of the storms that we're watching that are going to impact Amarillo are just on the north side of the cold front. So that really limits the low-level wind shear and also the instability. The cold front itself might actually clear Amarillo before the storms move through. So severe weather threat, it's definitely there for Amarillo. Large hail and damaging winds are the greatest concern, maybe damaging winds above large hail. The tornado threat is certainly low, but not completely zero for Amarillo. I think more than likely, though, like I said, it is going to be the hail and wind later this evening in Amarillo because of the fact that the storms that are moving through lack a little bit of surface instability, lack that low-level wind shear because of the cold front. Somebody asked about Lubbock. I just answered Lubbock a moment ago. I said that Lubbock will want to pay attention to the thunderstorm that is near Littlefield, the supercell thunderstorm near Littlefield. It is slowly moving east-southeast at about 5 miles per hour. As the cold front tries to catch up with it, it might pick up speed and potentially cause an issue for Lubbock down the road. Level land, I can now say with pretty high confidence that this supercell near Littlefield will pass east of you and north of you, but let's watch out for any thunderstorms that happen to develop near Morton or west of you. Those could eventually cause an uptick in your severe weather risk later this evening. We're watching new thunderstorm cells that are starting to develop here to the east of Roaring Spring, southwest of Paducah. These could be some new storms of interest that with time may become severe as they develop in an area that is pretty favorable for severe weather. I want to take a peek at the country as a whole for just a second because I'm seeing some questions about Michigan, some questions about West Virginia, some questions about Alabama. So we're going to get back down to our thunderstorm here that is near Anton, Texas, south of Littlefield, because I believe the recycling process is almost done, which means that it warrants our full attention because I think it may drop another tornado here in a few minutes. But just for the sake of answering some of your questions, I want to show you a bigger picture across the country. For West Virginia, we have no active severe thunderstorm warnings in place. There could be a few strong storms this evening, mainly posing a risk for wind 40 to 50 miles per hour. Not concerned about tornadoes. Certainly not concerned about large hail either, but maybe some strong wind. In Alabama, we have a severe thunderstorm here that is near or north of Montgomery. This one about to cross over Interstate 65 with winds to 70 miles per hour. This is all south of Birmingham, but moving into the Clanton area underneath the severe thunderstorm warning. And again, about to cross over Interstate 65 with some winds, 50 to 60 miles per hour that we'll be keeping an eye on. More strong storms stretching towards Mobile. Another cluster of severe thunderstorms now that is north of the Hammond area in Louisiana. This is north of I-12, near Independence, near Tickfaw, getting some hail up to an inch in diameter and then winds to 70 miles per hour. All right, let's get back over to our Texas storm because this is our main supercell of the day. And I remember, probably about an hour ago or so, I mentioned that there would probably only be one or two supercells that would go big this evening. And as soon as this storm developed, this looked like it was going to be our main show for the evening here out across the Texas Panhandle, at least so far. So let me first reiterate the warning. It is a tornado warning now for northeastern Hockley and southeastern Lamb counties until 6 p.m. And this is the same storm that we've been tracking for the past hour and a half to 2 hours. And this storm has been recycling, meaning it would strengthen, drop a tornado, weaken, recycle, drop a bigger tornado, and then weaken again. And now it looks like it's starting to re-strengthen. Once again, it has tennis ball size hail. So the hail size on this storm has started to increase. You can see the wide swath of where we have some large to extremely large hail in here, indicated by the purple colors, the magenta colors that you're seeing here popping up on radar. And that type of hail, the tennis ball size hail, is going to create some big problems. Again, it's not quite as big as that 4-inch in diameter hail that we saw with this storm maybe 45 minutes to an hour ago or so, but still, tennis ball size hail is a problem. 2.50 inches in diameter is going to cause some issues. Then notice where you have the hook echo with this storm. That is where you have, obviously, the inflow, the undisturbed inflow, and the rotation that has developed. Let's go ahead and pull the velocity. And at least for right now, it doesn't look like there's a tornado on the ground with this one, but like I said, within the past 3 or 4 scans, it appears that the storm is starting to re-strengthen a little bit and get better organized. So now we play the game of, okay, well, where's the new area of rotation going to develop? And right now, just kind of eyeballing it, it looks like along Concho Road and Ohio Road, where Concho Road and Ohio Road meet up, there is where we could have a new area of rotation that is starting to develop. And this is, again, at this time, producing some extremely large hail, tennis ball size hail. And so, this is the type of supercell that is multi-faceted and multi-hazard, where it has a large to extremely large hail and then the tornado threat with it as well. So big time issues with this storm, and I'm just checking social media, seeing if there is any reports of a tornado on the ground with this just yet. So I do have a picture now from 43 seconds ago, of a rotating wall cloud in this vicinity, in the vicinity of Ohio Road and Concho Road, where those two meet up near Nevada Road. We have a developing wall cloud and a report of some very strong inflow going into this storm. So I think we're at the point now where we're just waiting on this storm to drop a tornado. Again, right now, strengthening rotation near Ohio Road and Concho Road, Nevada Road, in that general area. Newest scan shows the rotation continues to tighten up. I'm looking at social media. I'm watching it extremely closely. Watching a video here of a rapidly developing wall cloud in this vicinity. So this storm has completed its recycling process. It is now more than likely going to produce a tornado again for the 3rd time today. And it has extremely strong undisturbed inflow that is coming into this storm. Anton, Texas, you are underneath the tornado warning. However, at this point in time, it looks like the rotation is going to pass to the southwest of Anton, but we do have the large to gigantic hail that's going to come into the Anton area here, which is tennis ball size, 2.50 inches, extremely large, and that is the type of hail that does damage to homes, to windows, to vehicles as well. And I should also mention the storm is starting to pick up speed a little bit too. It is now moving to the southeast at 15 miles per hour. So you'll remember earlier I said, well, the cold front's moving in from the northwest. It might actually help this storm pick up speed a little bit. And that appears to be happening right now. So instead of 5 miles per hour, there is movement now to the southeast at 15 miles per hour, which is quite a bit faster than before, 10 miles faster than before. And again, I just want to let you know that this is the type of storm that more than likely is going to go on to produce another potentially strong tornado. I know some of you are saying that there is a tornado on the ground. You're seeing it on social media. I'm looking as well. I'm waiting just to be sure to call this one confirmed until I see it with my eyes myself. But I do have a rapidly developing wall cloud now on this storm near Nevada Road and Concho Road, strengthening low-level rotation and the possibility of a tornado with this one. Rotation is there, it's present. You have the green, which is winds that are blowing towards the radar site, red away from the radar site, where those two kind of meet up is where you have the low-level circulation and possibly the developing tornado. With this one, we'll go ahead and treat it like it's on the ground. And let's track it now. I know I haven't done a ton of tracks today, but that's just because most of the storms have been very close to stationary. Now this one's moving southeast at 15 miles per hour. So let's put a track on it and we'll do kind of a large track. I want to let you know, if you live in Lubbock, you need to be paying close attention to this storm. It is still a good bit to your northwest, but it is moving in the general direction of Lubbock. So this storm is generally moving towards Lubbock. And so let's put a track on this, moving southeast now at 15 miles per hour, rapidly developing rotation, the possibility of a developing tornado, and then gigantic hail that is larger than 2 inches in diameter coming into shallow water in 74 minutes, Hurlwood in 79 minutes, Broadview in 92 minutes, and Lubbock in 109 minutes. So Lubbock in an hour and a half to 2 hours is when we're going to have this supercell thunderstorm, which, trust me, it'll probably hold itself together, maintain its strength, if not strengthen a little bit as we get close to sunset. This very dangerous storm will be close to Lubbock within the next hour and a half to 2 hours. Shallow water in the next hour. Reese Village in 78 minutes. Hurlwood in 78 minutes. And Lubbock within the next 108 minutes or so. So within the next hour and a half to 2 hours, this very dangerous supercell will be very near Lubbock. And keep in mind here, there's a lot of real estate that this storm first needs to cross before it gets to Lubbock, right? So here is kind of the general path of the storm. A lot of real estate and a lot of time needs to pass first before the storm gets into Lubbock. But I do think that we're in the environment today where these long-form, long-track supercells will continue for several hours. This storm in particular has already been ongoing and been tornado warned for the past couple of hours, at least the last hour 45 to 2 hours. And so it is likely that we can infer that as this storm continues to move southeast, it will maintain its strength, strengthen, probably recycle a few times, but then get into Lubbock eventually within the next hour and a half to 2 hours. So you may want to start thinking about, if you're in Lubbock, where your severe weather safe spot is, thinking about where you're going to go if and when this particular storm gets to your location, gets into town. I do want to mention that yes, the storm is tornado warned at this point, but the tornado is not the only threat with this storm as it tracks closer to Lubbock. It is going to be the gigantic hail that is also going to be a very big issue. We've seen hail as big as 4 inches in diameter. Right now, the hail core is getting bigger again on this storm, up to tennis ball size hail. Check out where you have the teal colors up near 597, and it looks like Dallas Road. So running north to south, Dallas Road, 597, west to east is where you have the very large hail that's taking place. I think it's probably bigger than tennis ball size. This could be getting up to 3 inches in diameter. This is a very damaging and dangerous storm. And then on the south side of this is so typical of supercells, right? The north side of a supercell, you have your hail core, there it is. And then on the south side, you have your rotation and possible tornado that could be developing. Let's pull our storm relative velocity. Rotation at this point is not all that strong. In fact, I'm a little surprised that the rotation here isn't stronger, but the storm may just be taking its time recycling a little bit. Interestingly enough, and this happens a lot of times with these erratic moving storms, is the rotation is not going to follow where the National Weather Service draws up the polygon. The Weather Service draws up where they think the rotation is going to go. Of course, with the erratic moving storms, that isn't always the case. It looks like instead of a due southeast movement now, the storm may be moving, or at least the rotating part of the supercell may be moving due south instead, and there could be a broad area of rotation that's actually come out of the polygon and is now near the Witherell area, the Witherell, Texas area, or just east of there. Look at where I circled. The colors aren't all that bright. So one, that indicates the winds aren't super strong. The rotation isn't super tight, but there is some broad scale rotation in here that is east of Witherell, Texas, out near Kansas Road and near Main Road, your west to east Main Road there, is where you have some broad rotation and the possibility of rotation that may be tightening up with time. So that's interesting. The storm at one point in time was moving due east or due southeast. The rotating part of the storm has actually moved out of the tornado warning polygon south of there and is very close to Witherell, Texas. I don't think that there is a tornado on the ground with this one, but let's watch it extremely closely. We're going to continue to monitor the next couple of scans, because the first 2 tornadoes that dropped from this storm came out of one radar scan, meaning 1 minute it wasn't there, the next radar scan it was. And so that's why, one of the reasons why we have to keep an eye on these rotating storms so extremely quickly. There it is. I mean, you can see the hook echo right there, and where you have the circulation near Witherell, Texas. And, you know, it, for very good reason, is being monitored pretty closely. I think the National Weather Service may be drawing up a new polygon here with this one, either a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning on this, and we're just waiting for it to come into the system to adjust and to account for where the storm is tracking and where it's heading. So we'll continue to watch the Anton, Texas storm and supercell very closely. Also watching storms up near Amarillo. And my sort of disclaimer with the storms near or just north of Amarillo is they're actually on the cool side of a cold front. And so that's why we haven't seen them really take off. These storms near or north of Bishop Hills, near Vega, Texas, they're severe warned, certainly, for some destructive baseball size hail, as a matter of fact, which is 2.75 inches. But because they're on the cool side of our boundary, and on the cool side of the cold front, they're not going to be tornado producers, and they're probably not going to stay sustained throughout the entire evening. But at least for right now, this particular storm that we have here that is near Gluck or just north of Gluck, Texas, is producing some gigantic hail. Check this out, where you're seeing the lavender colors here about to cross over US Highway 287, north of Amarillo, north of Gluck, and south of Punit, Texas, is where you have some gigantic hail, baseball size hail, extremely damaging, destructive, and then maybe some winds up to about 60 miles per hour. This is in a mainly rural part of the Texas Panhandle, but certainly anybody who's driving right along the driving kind of right along this area here, along 87 is going to run into some of that bigger hail. Some severe storms as well that may be producing a little hail east of 385. Again, fairly rural area. And then another storm here that has some line-size hail that is actually now about to move into the community of Adrian, Texas. Wimberley Place, about to get some hail up to possibly lime size, and then winds up to about 60 miles per hour as well. I want to let you know about a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is in sort of a different part of Texas that we've been tracking so far today. And it is actually, as a matter of fact, this one is in New Mexico, southeast New Mexico, east of Carlsbad. It has a considerable tag on it. Here's the supercell. The polygon is drawn up for southern Lee and northeastern Loving counties until 7 p.m. A severe thunderstorm was located 18 miles east of Malaga, or 31 miles southeast of Carlsbad. And so here it is. This storm has just developed here in the past few minutes. It is moving due north completely. And this is, again, a pretty rural area of New Mexico, but it is about to cross over 128 highway. And after it crosses over 128 with its golf ball size hail, it will then, with time, within the next 30 to 45 minutes, move over 176 and stay west of Oil Center, perhaps. And down the road, this could be an issue for Hobbs, New Mexico. So again, that's what's happening with this storm. It is producing golf ball size hail. It is rapidly developing. This is our New Mexico storm, east of Carlsbad, crossing over 128 highway right now, then moving over into rural parts of New Mexico before crossing over 176. Possibly getting or just staying west of Oil Center before it tracks west of Hobbs. So we'll watch that one. It is in the severe thunderstorm watched area where we have more of a threat for severe thunderstorms versus tornadoes. But regardless, we'll keep an eye on that. So here's the new polygon drawn up by the National Weather Service. I told you they were probably going to do that with our storm that is now south of Littlefield and near Anton, Texas. Tennis ball size hail is the primary concern with this storm now. Some good news is the rotation, at least, has weakened substantially enough for the time being that the National Weather Service has allowed the tornado warning to expire. They have drawn up a new severe thunderstorm warning on this one. And it is a severe thunderstorm warning for west central Lubbock County, northeastern Hockley, and south central Lamb County until 7 p.m. And the storm movement here, remember I told you it's picked up speed. It's moving southeast at about 10 miles per hour. So it's still faster than the 5 miles per hour that it was moving at one point in time. It's moving southeast here at about 10 miles per hour on its current path. This storm could possibly be an issue for Smyre, Texas, and Opdyke, West Texas. It will more than likely stay east of Levelland and possibly stay west of Lubbock, downtown Lubbock, but we cannot say that for sure. One of the biggest problems so far with today's storms has been the erratic movement of these storms. They've been moving south and then east and then kind of back building to the west. And the reason that's been happening is a lot of these storms have been colliding and developing over areas with leftover boundaries or outflow boundaries from yesterday's severe weather in the Texas Panhandle. And that is sort of been the wrinkle in today's forecast, at least in terms of tracking these storms, as they collide and move over these outflow boundaries, and they make it so extremely hard to track them. A few minutes ago, we were telling you that the storm in Littlefield was moving due east, and then it started moving due south. And that's why the National Weather Service drew up this new polygon, right? They had a severe thunderstorm warning polygon that at one point in time was kind of drawn like this. Now, to account for the southern movement of this supercell, they've drawn the new polygon that you see there in the deeper yellow. Now it appears the storm is trying to back build a little to the west as well. So we'll take our time tracking this one. And, the erratic movement, like I said, makes it very difficult to track. Just by mileage, this storm is now, let's show you here. It is roughly 29 miles to the northwest of Lubbock at this point in time. And we're going to see what path this storm ultimately takes. It looks like it may have kind of merged or collided with a leftover outflow boundary somewhere in this area. And that's why the structure looks a little bit different and why it's trying to backbuild to the west as well. Regardless, still an extremely dangerous storm that is warned for tennis ball size hail and winds to 60 miles per hour. The rotation has weakened enough so where the National Weather Service has allowed the tornado warning on this to expire. Still some broad scale rotation on this one, east of 385, but not enough for right now to issue a new tornado warning on this. But let's, just for the sake of advanced warning here and lead time, let's track this storm to the southeast at 10 miles per hour. That puts it into shallow water in the next 108 minutes, puts it into Broadview in 134 minutes, Lubbock now in 160 minutes. So we're going to keep a very close eye on this storm. Right now, it is probably stationary, I would say. It has stopped its forward movement again for the second time today. It was moving southeast at 15, then south at 10. Now it is stationary. It is more than likely interacting with some outflow boundaries, and we're gonna have to wait probably a few minutes before I can definitively say which way it's moving towards. But for right now, this storm is stationary. It is stationary here near Main Road, near Concho Road, and over the town of Witherell. So a stationary storm over Witherell is producing damaging winds, hail at this time, and those are our two primary concerns for the moment. And I can be comfortable saying at any time rotation could strengthen up and we could see another tornado develop. So still, this is the main storm in town for right now. And until we can say for sure what's happening with this supercell, we can draw almost a mini mesoscale discussion like the Storm Prediction Center does, our own version of that. We can sort of say that anybody in this area needs to be paying close attention to the path of the supercell that we're watching and what ends up happening with it. I do want to mention, in addition to our lone supercell that we're tracking out here, we have a flash flood warning. I know I haven't mentioned this yet, but it is a flash flood warning for southern Lamb County until 7 p.m. And it doesn't include Littlefield. I'm going to turn on another tool here, and this is our storm total rainfall that we've seen so far. And this rainfall that you're looking at is just from our supercell that has produced the hail, the tornadoes so far today, and the high winds. Also, in addition to those three things, it has produced enough rainfall to give concern to flooding. So here's a look at some of those estimates. Just within the past few hours, Littlefield has seen almost 3 inches of rain. Northwest of Littlefield, near 84 Highway, almost 4 inches of rain. And you have to keep in mind, this is a part of the country that does not get all that much rainfall. And so when you get 4 inches of rain over the past couple of hours, it's going to create big problems in terms of a flooding risk. And that is why we do have the flash flood warning that's in place right now. And it does include Littlefield. So even though the severe weather threat has passed for the time being in Littlefield, there definitely could be a cause for concern with flooding. And we've seen so much rain in that area here over the past several hours. Okay, let's talk for a second here about the storms up near Amarillo. And these have really been kind of interesting storms to watch. And it's been kind of strange to watch them evolve because, well, for a couple of reasons. Number one, they have formed near or on the north side of a cold front. And obviously, anytime you go north of a cold front, the air is going to be slightly more stable just north of a cold front. And because of that, the storms have kind of had a hard time getting going and getting better organized. Still, they've produced some hail. Because of the fact that they're running parallel or just north to a cold front, I don't think that we're going to see much of a tornado threat out of these storms through this evening, but certainly the hail threat is going to persist and the wind threat is going to persist through this evening as well. And check this out. The storm here that is far north, on the far north side of Amarillo, is right now producing baseball size hail. So here's the text from the National Weather Service. Severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect till 6:30 for southeastern Oldham, southern Potter County, for a storm that is located 10 miles east of Valle de Oro or 15 miles north of Amarillo, moving east at 15 miles per hour. Destructive storm, baseball size hail on this. Here it is. As we zoom in a little closer, again, this is in a mainly rural area of Texas. You can see, though, the big hail, the hail core on this one, and it too is moving to, it looks like the motion on this is due east here, a little faster than some of the other previous storms. All right, let me look at some of your questions here since we have a momentary lull in at least the tornado warnings that we have out there. Let's see. Somebody asked, have there been any touchdowns? Yeah, there have been several today so far, I think 3 or 4. If you have other questions, feel free to drop them in the comments here. Will Lubbock be hit? Somebody asked. It is possible that Lubbock sees some severe weather out of this supercell that we're watching northwest of Lubbock. The motion on this storm, and I'll circle it for you so you can see, the motion on this storm is stationary right now. It was moving east for a few minutes, then it's dropped south, and now it's pretty much stationary. So we're in kind of a, watch and wait type situation here for this storm, because so far it is not moving at all. Now, I do think it'll probably start to pick up speed again here in a little bit, and more than likely, the motion on this is going to be due south and southeast. So I would say Lubbock, I would get ready for severe weather within the next 2 hours. So be prepared for severe weather, including the potential of large and damaging hail, the threat for damaging winds and tornadic activity in the vicinity of Lubbock within the next 2 hours. Somebody said, do you think the cell is going to hit us? It's so tough to tell with the erratic motion of today's storms, but I do think that it is possible Lubbock is impacted by this storm. And I would say, while action is not required on your part right this second, you may want to start thinking about where your severe weather safe spot is going to be down the road within the next hour to hour and a half, as this cell eventually starts to get closer to maybe the Opdyke West area, Smyre, and again, possibly Lubbock down the road. So it is a maybe as to will the storm directly impact Lubbock. A lot of inflow coming into this storm. There is a ton of inflow, warm, moist air that is being pushed into this storm, and that's only going to add fuel to the fire, so to speak, over the next little bit. And some of you may want to know, okay, well, why is the storm weakening right now, or why was it weakening? And the reason why is because of the fact that this storm has been severe and almost tornado warned for 2.5 hours straight. And so at a certain point in time, the storm is not going to be able to maintain its strength for that entire period. When you get a supercell like this, it tends to recycle, which means it'll be very strong, very severe, then it'll weaken a little, and it does that so it can almost get more strength in the future, so it can recycle and become stronger down the road. It's almost like pausing for a second to gather the ingredients to become strong and severe down the line once again. So this storm is recycling and is probably going to get stronger again within the next little bit, within the next 15 minutes to half an hour. Somebody asked about Amarillo. Amarillo will likely see thunderstorms moving through over the next hour to hour and a half. Some of those storms that move through Amarillo could be strong to severe. I think hail would be the primary concern there. A lot of questions about Lubbock and if Lubbock will be impacted. And I do think that there is definitely the possibility that as this storm sort of starts to recycle and re-strengthen, it may jot east a little bit and then eventually impact Lubbock. But this has been the day of unpredictable movements with some of these storms, unfortunately, as they've been interacting with leftover boundaries from yesterday's storms. They've been having kind of a challenging time keeping a straight movement. A lot of the times we'll see storms either move east or southeast. These storms have been, yes, moving east and southeast, but then become stationary, trying to backbuild to the west a little bit. Let's check on the rotation with this storm. It is still fairly broad for the moment. There is a little bit of broad, like I said, a tiny bit of rotation isn't all that impressive to the south of Witherell, Texas, near 385. But for, at least for right now, I don't think that the rotation is strong enough to warrant any kind of a tornado warning. And by the way, this is just the beginning of a long stretch of severe weather to come here over the next 4 or 5 days across the country. So let's see, somebody asked, let's see here. Somebody asked about Silverton, Texas, and what's on the way there. And for right now, for Silverton, you don't have any severe weather or severe thunderstorms in your vicinity. The severe thunderstorms are both to your south and then also to your north. The storms to your south, that one supercell to the south of you, is staying away. It's not going to get any closer to you. It'll, in fact, move away from you. Let's keep an eye for the storms near Amarillo. That'll eventually start sagging south and east. The storms near Vega and north of Amarillo, those could eventually impact you later tonight. I'm talking within the next 3 to 4 hours. But right now, at least for the next hour or so in Silverton, everything is looking okay. We'll keep an eye on the storms to the north of you near Lubbock, as it will eventually kind of head in your direction. I'm still watching social media, and with the storm that is southwest of Anton, Texas, that's our main supercell that we've been tracking all afternoon long. There is a rapidly developing wall cloud. Just by the looks of it, the wall cloud is a little elevated right now above the surface, but it is rotating and it is still developing pretty quickly. And so I think that if we're to get a tornado to develop here in the near term, it'll likely be, again, in a couple of spots that we're going to have to keep an eye out for. Somebody asked about Lubbock. Again, right now in Lubbock, we're watching the supercell that is northwest of Lubbock as it may recycle here in the next little bit and then eventually head southeast. There's kind of two options. Let me explain this. That I think there's kind of two possibilities here with our main supercell that we're watching. So option number one with this supercell that has been producing the gigantic hail, the tornadoes in the past, and the high wind, option one is the storm starts moving southeast again and eventually impacts Lubbock within the next hour and a half to 2 hours. The second option or possibility is that the storm moves due south and impacts spots like Smyer, Texas. Either one is on the table. For right now, the storm is still pretty much stationary. It's why I'm kind of having a tough time tracking it, so to speak. And that's just because it is moving extremely slowly, pretty much stationary over Witherell, Texas, with heavy amounts of rain and the possibility of hail in here as well. But for right now, the rotation is not strong enough to warrant a tornado warning, and there is certainly not a tornado on the ground with this one. Somebody asked about Midland, Texas. Let's go take a peek at the Midland, Texas area, and maybe this storm will start moving a little more for us to give us a better idea of where it will head, the storm northwest of Lubbock. But here's what's happening in Midland. Midland does not have any active severe thunderstorm warnings or tornado warnings in your vicinity. As you work your way west, and you have to go pretty far west, there are showers and thunderstorms that are developing near Pecos, and then another severe warned storm that is in southeast New Mexico, south of Hobbs. This one has golf ball size hail, winds to 70 miles per hour. It is moving straight north at this time, so it'll be crossing over 176 highway, staying west of Oil Center. And then maybe down the road getting into the Hobbs area. But for right this second, Midland, Odessa, no threat of severe weather for probably the next few hours. I think later this evening, we're talking once we get past 8, 9 o'clock, the threat for severe weather will increase a little in Odessa and in Midland. But for right now, no threat of severe storms. Let's take a peek kind of at what we expect here over the next couple of days, because things are going to be really busy, and I want to take almost this lull to look at what's coming here in the next couple of days. And stay tuned, keep watching if you're somebody who's in an area that's being impacted by severe weather tonight, because chances are you're going to be impacted again at some point here over the next couple of days. So let's start first by looking at the outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. We know today there is an enhanced risk, a risk level 3 out of 5 for severe weather across the Texas Panhandle. It's where we have and are currently seeing our severe storms. Here is a look at the risk area for tomorrow. So I'm going to just for a second go ahead and turn off some of the watches and warnings that we have and turn on the risk area for tomorrow. And tomorrow's risk is kind of dependent on what happens today. So here's the risk area 1 out of 5 for severe weather tomorrow on Saturday. Notice some of the spots that are in the darker green shaded area. It's some of the same spots that are under the gun today. It includes Amarillo, it includes Lubbock, Plainview, Memphis, Clovis here, Fort Summer, even almost out to the Santa Rosa, New Mexico area, down through Seminole, Andrews in the risk level 1 out of 5 for severe storms tomorrow. It is a conditional severe weather risk, which means that it all hinges on what happens out there early tomorrow morning and whether or not storms are able to strengthen and become better organized. So let's kind of take you through what we expect to happen tomorrow. Again, we're looking at tomorrow in particular, and there is that risk level 1 out of 5, as I mentioned, across the Texas Panhandle. And I want to pull kind of just a peek here at what tomorrow could look like on our future reflectivity. And we're using the 18Z HRRR. And this also gives you a good idea of what we're expecting a little bit later tonight as well as we go through time. Here's 9 o'clock, and we kind of see our lead supercell. The HRRR does a pretty good idea of this particular model is a pretty good idea of showing that there still may be 1 or 2 supercells out there by 9 o'clock tonight in the vicinity of Lubbock. And then look at what starts to form across the western Texas Panhandle by 9 p.m. tonight. It becomes a cluster of storms. You get less in the way of supercell thunderstorms and more clusters that start to form, and almost a line or a broken line of storms by 11 o'clock tonight. And as this line moves through Amarillo down through Lubbock, it'll be capable of producing winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour, some maybe marginally severe hail, and a brief spin-up tornado or 2. So this is by 11 p.m. tonight. You have your broken line of storms, less in the way of individual storms. So now for the next couple of hours, we'll have individual supercell thunderstorms capable of all hazards, including large, gigantic hail and tornadoes. And then by 9 to 10 p.m. tonight, those supercells will start to dissipate, and we'll get a cluster or a broken line of storms, almost an MCS, that tries to form across the western Texas Panhandle, then marches east through Amarillo, almost down through about Lubbock by 11 o'clock, getting into midnight. And those storm clusters, again, will be capable of producing very heavy amounts of rain. A flooding risk will develop overnight tonight. And then also the possibility, of course, of some damaging winds in there and a lower tornado threat. Now, it will likely be a night of on and off showers and thunderstorms. And by 8 a.m. tomorrow, check out what's happening. We're still dealing with heavy amounts of rain and an increasing flooding risk From Amarillo down through Lubbock, these storms could be strong, but more than likely they're not going to be severe because it will have been raining for so long at this point, all night long, and by early tomorrow morning, a lot of the energy needed to sustain a long-form severe weather threat will start to dissipate, but still flooding rain early Saturday morning by 9 a.m. there, Amarillo down through Lubbock. And the big question mark is, do these storms that we see late tonight into early tomorrow morning leave another outflow boundary for tomorrow afternoon? If they do, and we see at least a little sunshine by 1, 2 p.m. tomorrow, it is possible we start to see additional showers and thunderstorms that could be strong to severe, igniting, just like today, along some of those leftover outflow boundaries from Lubbock up through Amarillo. The big problem with tomorrow's severe weather risk is more than likely we're probably not going to get enough instability into early tomorrow morning and because of the storms tomorrow morning to give us a long-form severe weather threat by tomorrow afternoon. So that's kind of the wrinkle in the forecast, so to speak. Now, if it isn't raining as much tomorrow and we get some sunshine in the morning hours, there could be a bigger risk for severe weather, a conditional larger risk, all hazards risk for severe weather heading into tomorrow afternoon. We'll keep an eye on that, but for right now, it is just a risk level 1 out of 5 across the panhandle for tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. All right, let's take a peek at the severe weather risk heading into Sunday, because things change a little bit by Sunday and we start talking about a broader risk area. So let's change the outlook here. And this is the Storm Prediction Center outlook for Sunday. A couple of things to point out. A very big, we're looking at Sunday right now, risk level 1 out of 5 that extends from roughly the Texas-New Mexico border in southwest Texas all the way up into the Dakotas towards the Canadian border. A big risk area, 1 out of 5 marginal risk for Sunday. There's also going to be an upper level ridge of high pressure in this area that's going to start to weaken a little bit. And so as that starts to happen, as our ridge of high pressure weakens, it'll set the stage for a surface area of low pressure and cold front to emerge out of the high plains, moving into the rest of the plain states here, particularly in Nebraska, and give us already a risk level 2 out of 5 for severe weather on Sunday from North Platte, Nebraska, Lexington, Broken Bow, Brewster, up through O'Neill, getting into southern South Dakota, Burke and Rosebud, South Dakota. We have a risk level 2 out of 5 or slight risk for severe storms on Sunday with an all hazards risk possible, including large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Look at how big our risk level 1 out of 5 is. The stage will be set all across the high plains, western Oklahoma, western Kansas, much of western Nebraska into central Nebraska, the Dakotas for severe weather. But there's only one real problem that we have in play for Sunday's severe weather threat, and that's going to be the capping inversion that's going to be in place on Sunday. Let me show you what I mean, and we'll take a peek here at the European computer model. I think it does a great job of showing what some of our concerns are for Sunday. So as we kind of go through time, notice the timestamp here in the upper left-hand corner. This is Sunday afternoon. Here comes that area of low pressure, 1,000 millibar low that I talked about. That's going to be emerging across the high plains. And then you do have, your large warm sector that's going to develop out here, and showers and thunderstorms, any showers and thunderstorms that happen to form on Sunday afternoon anywhere in the warm sector from the Dakotas down through Texas will have the potential of producing an all-hazard severe weather risk, including large hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes. Here's the issue. Remember a moment ago, and this is a failure mode for Sunday, I talked about how there was that ridge of high pressure that's going to be in place on Sunday that's going to be starting to weaken. Unfortunately, because that ridge of high pressure won't be completely gone and it'll just be weakening on Sunday afternoon, it's looking like there's going to be a big capping inversion in place across all of the warm sector. And that cap is just basically an area of warm air aloft. Normally, as you climb through the layers of our atmosphere, temperatures cool. However, with a cap, or capping inversion, there's a brief pocket of warm air, and that cap, that little area of warm air, will prevent thunderstorms from developing and going up at least early on Sunday across a good part of the warm sector. Remember, where we have the slight risk in place, though, on Sunday, that's going to be across Nebraska. That's where we expect or have the best chance of the cap breaking and thunderstorms developing closer to the surface low, where we have the extra forcing. So now, as we get into late Sunday, early Monday morning, we'll probably have showers and thunderstorms that start to develop here across parts of Nebraska. All hazards severe, closer to the surface low. In the Dakotas, you could have some rotating storms up here, deepening area of low pressure. And any storms that happen to form along the cold front / dry line in western Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas on Sunday afternoon, if we can get a storm to form and break through the capping inversion, then it will become severe. So for right now, there's just a risk level 2 out of 5 across parts of Nebraska for Sunday. If there's higher confidence in that capping inversion breaking, then we may get into a situation where there are upgrades to this risk area. We get enhanced risk or an expansion of the risk level 2 out of 5. So we'll kind of see what happens moving forward and down the road. But again, for right now, there's just a risk level 2 out of 5 for severe weather across Nebraska on Sunday, and then there will be a bigger risk for severe weather heading into Monday that we'll talk about in just a second. Here's an update on the thunderstorms that we're seeing out there across the Panhandle right now. We're still watching the storm that is northwest of Lubbock that's producing lime-sized hail and winds to 60 miles per hour. It has been nearly stationary for a good chunk of time, and it is still moving extremely slowly at this particular time, just crawling. And I think because there isn't a lot of forward momentum with this storm, it's starting to maybe perhaps collapse in on itself a little bit. I mean, the storm isn't progressing at all. You know, earlier at least the storm was moving or just crawling south and southeast at 5 miles per hour. It picked up speed a little. Actually, at one point it was moving southeast at 15 miles per hour, but now it appears that it is nearly stationary. You know, it has been raining now over Witherell, Texas for a long time. And because the storm is stationary, you know, and without that small forward momentum, it's causing some problems for the storm, and it's trying to almost collapse in on itself a little bit. Look at the storm zone now north of Amarillo. Boy, look at this supercell that has maybe tapped into a little bit of the warm sector now, north and northeast of Amarillo. Tennis ball size hail. So let me read you this text from the National Weather Service. A severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Carson County, northwestern Potter County until 7:30. A severe thunderstorm was located 15 miles south of Lake Meredith, or 17 miles northeast of Amarillo, moving east at 15 miles per hour. So here's the storm. It's interesting. For a period of time this afternoon, these thunderstorms that you see here were in a little bit of a broken line, or more so of a broken line. Now, as the storms are running more parallel to the cold front instead of staying north of the cold front, they're becoming more supercellular in nature. In fact, this is a very good-looking supercell north of Amarillo right now. And the storm movement is to the east at 15 miles per hour. This is an extremely dangerous storm that is producing tennis ball size hail. And anytime you talk about a storm that we get tennis ball or bigger size hail, then more than likely you get into a situation where the storm is causing some big time damage. So tennis ball size hail now on this storm that is to the west of Pomeroy, Texas. And it is moving to the like we said, to the east at 15 miles per hour. So let's put a track on this tennis ball size hail. Notice where we're getting some of those magenta colors that are popping up. And this is in a pretty rural area, but just for some reference, this is Farm to Market Road 1342, and this is all north of Amarillo. This supercell is north of Amarillo. The storm relative velocity on this, there isn't really rotation on this for right now, but it is producing some very big hail as the storm moves to the east. And it'll be getting into the Pomeroy, Texas area with time. So here's the track as it moves east at 15 miles per hour. Again, tennis ball size hail coming into Pomeroy in the next 39 minutes. So obviously, if you are somebody who's familiar with this area, I know, like I said, it's kind of a rural area, but if you know somebody in the Pomeroy area, there's going to be some big hail coming in. For right now, at least, the hail size is, up to tennis ball, not any bigger than that, but it may be getting bigger. And for the moment, there's not a tornado threat with this storm, but it is just sort of developing. And so we'll keep an eye on this one as it moves closer to Pomeroy, Texas. If it holds itself together later this evening, closer to White Deer. Another good looking supercell here that is developed near the Bowdoin, Texas area. This one is northwest of Amarillo. This one has lime-size hail on it, so some big hail in there too. Again, staying over mainly rural parts of Texas, northwest of Amarillo. This one has kind of a northeast component. The text from the National Weather Service says it is a severe thunderstorm warning for Oldham as well as northwestern Potter County until 7:15. A severe thunderstorm was located 8 miles southwest Valley de Rio, or 14 miles northeast of Vega, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. So we'll keep an eye on that storm. Our main supercell here that we're watching northwest of Lubbock is still almost completely stationary. And so, at least for right now, Lubbock is doing okay. We'll still have to watch where this storm heads in the near term. All right, looking through your comments. Let's see. Can you give me an update on eastern New Mexico? So absolutely. Here's what's happening in eastern New Mexico. Depends on where you are, but there is some activity taking place out near Lovington and southwest of Hobbs. That's east of Carlsbad. We do have a supercell thunderstorm, actually a cluster of supercell thunderstorms that are producing some really big hail up to ping pong ball size. It's headed due north, this storm, and it'll probably pass to the west of Hobbs, but eventually it will move into Lovington. The storm movement here is to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So here's a track on this one. Moving into Lovington in the next 37 minutes, Buckeye in the next 20 minutes for ping pong ball size hail and heavy amounts of rain. Heading north from there, no storms near Dora, near Portals, near Clovis right now, looking good. There is a storm though that we're watching, and this one is near Grady, New Mexico. It has golf ball size hail on it, which is extremely large. And it is moving northeast, kind of running parallel to the boundary and likely getting into Grady within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So we'll keep an eye on that one. So for the person asking about Monday in Oklahoma, be patient. I will get there in just a second. But right now, of course, just looking at what's happening right this second, we'll go back to, we were tracking what's going to happen tomorrow and Sunday. We'll get to Monday here in just a second, but obviously the priority is on what's happening right now. Let's see. The question is, will the tornado hit Meadow and how bad will it be? So right now there are no active tornado warnings, but there are obviously some severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place right now. We did have kind of a busy day with tornado warnings and one storm that was producing a supercell that was producing a tornado warning for a long period of time, specifically for Meadow, somebody asked, which is southwest of Lubbock. There's Meadow. So let's keep an eye on this storm. Obviously, as you look north, the sky is probably a lot darker for sure. You do have your main supercell here that, at least for a little while, had been pretty stationary. It was stationary, meaning not moving over Witherell, Texas. Now it's starting to move, which is good news because we're able to track it. Remember, when it's not moving, we can't really track it anywhere. When it's moving, we can get a better idea of where it's headed next. It's slowly starting to move to the southeast now. So let's just, for the sake of this track it southeast at 5 miles per hour into Smyra in the next 108 minutes, Hurlwood in 179 minutes, Wolforth in the next 226 minutes. So for the person in Meadow asking about this storm, the good news is you can rest assured, at least for the next hour and a half to 2 hours, you're not going to be impacted by this storm. However, down the road, depending on where this storm heads, it may be one that we have to watch for you a little bit later tonight. A question about Hobbs and what's happening out there. So here's Hobbs, and there is a thunderstorm that is west and southwest of Hobbs that's producing some golf ball size hail. Here it is. I'll circle it for you. Let's keep an eye on the movement of this storm. Watch where it's going. It is headed almost directly north towards Lovington, New Mexico. So the hail core, the part of the storm that's severe, will more than likely stay west of Hobbs. You're not underneath a severe thunderstorm warning, and head up towards Lovington. But in Hobbs, you may get rain. You might get some thunder in there too. Just at least in terms of hail and severe hail and the severe storm, the good news is it looks like it'll stay west of Hobbs and takes more of a north-south track up towards Lovington here in the near term. And as a reminder, we have no active tornado warnings that are in place. An update for Lubbock, somebody asked about. So here's our supercell thunderstorm that we've been tracking all afternoon long. It is now producing baseball size hail. So the hail size has increased now on this one. So that tells us, one thing. Number one, the storm is strengthening again. And the reason the storm is starting to strengthen, I believe, is because it's starting to move a little more to the south and to the southeast, where, the past probably 30 minutes or so, the storm has been nearly stationary. Now we're starting to get more of a south to southeast movement with this one. And that would put it on a path to possibly impact the west side of Lubbock within the next hour to hour and a half. When I say moving, it's moving extremely slowly, only to the south to southeast at about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but at least we're getting some movement on this. And here is the possible path of this storm. Keep in mind, it's only moving to the south-southeast now at about 5 miles per hour, but here are some approximate times of arrival into Smyre in the next 110 minutes, Hurlwood in 172 minutes, into New Home in 385 minutes, Union 400 minutes, and possibly into the west side of Lubbock now within the next hour and a half. So if you're in Lubbock, I know we've been asking you to kind of keep your guard up for a while. Let's just hang tight. Let's watch this storm. It has been nearly stationary. It's taken it over an hour to move from Littlefield to where it is now. So very slow movement to the south, only at about 5 miles per hour, but we do have an increasing hail core. The hail is getting bigger, and the hail core is also getting wider with this storm once again, and the hail is up to baseball size on this. So baseball size hail. Where specifically? From Hawaii Road up through Iowa Road near Kansas Road, north of Hodge. If you're in Hodge right now, Hodge, Texas, I would recommend being somewhere away from windows because that hail core is going to move south and eventually get awful close to Hodge. Right now near Main Road, near Kansas Road, near Iowa Road, Hawaii Road, in this area here is where you have your hail core, and it does expand to the east as well, heading out towards Highway 2130, where 2130 meets 1294 near Georgia Road. In this area, you kind of have the expansion of the hail core up to baseball size hail, big hail. That's going to be loud. It's also going to be extremely destructive. And the storm, again, moving to the south now at about 5 miles per hour. The hail size might actually be bigger than baseball size here in this circled area. It could be, now getting up to possibly 3-inch in diameter size hail with this storm. And here is, again, the intersection of El Paso Road and Iowa Road, where those two meet, is where you could have the hail that's up to 3 inches in diameter with this storm as it moves extremely slowly now to the south. Only at about 5 miles per hour. So it is a dangerous situation because it's not like you're getting in the hail core for a few minutes and then coming out of it. Once you get in the hail core, you're probably sitting in it for 20 to 25 minutes. And this will be a storm that whatever happens with it will be very close and come very close to the west side of Lubbock. In terms of a near-term tornado threat, the rotation, at least for this particular storm and at this particular time, is not all that impressive. There is some broad rotation. Where's the broad rotation? It is very close to where Florida Road meets up with Fisher Road in the Texas Panhandle, but nothing that indicates that there is a tornado developing quickly or that there is a tornado that's on the ground yet at the moment. Somebody asked about Amarillo. Let's jump up to our Amarillo storms. Right now, there's no threat of a tornado with our Amarillo storms, no rotation at all, but there is one storm northeast of Amarillo that's producing lime-size hail out across northwestern Carson and east central Potter counties. 2-inch hail, winds to 60 miles per hour, about to cross over 136 highway, and then head east, head towards Able, very small community of Able, Texas. And as I put this into animation, you can see that these storms are mostly running west to east. And so that would keep them away from Amarillo in the near term, though we're starting to see a couple of returns here on radar, northeast of Hereford, Texas, west of Canyon. And we'll keep an eye on these. These are just showers right now, but they may have the opportunity to mature into something more. And if we do get additional storms to develop near Hereford and near Canyon, those could eventually track towards Amarillo. But at least for the next 30 to 35, maybe even longer than that, minutes in Amarillo, you do not have an immediate severe weather threat. It is north of there that we're concerned about for right now. And then, of course, our storm near Lubbock that we continue to watch that has the largest hail right now, up to baseball-size hail. So that is extremely damaging hail. We probably have baseball-size hail that is, generally speaking, in a width here of about 4 miles wide of baseball-size hail, and we almost have two different areas of hail core with this storm. Here's area number 1, and then we have area number 2 out here with more of a hail core that is west of shallow water. The storm itself, again, is looking better organized, but the rotation, or what rotation has been out there, is not necessarily getting stronger. So while the storm may be getting stronger, the rotation in a near-term tornado threat is not anything we're concerned about, at least for the next few minutes. Obviously, that could change down the road. And then we have more storms out here near Lovington, New Mexico, with a considerable tag on them. You have a lot of big hail that's about to move into Lovington, New Mexico in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So if you're in that area, if you're in eastern New Mexico, specifically Lovington, up through about Tatum, be prepared for some big hail coming into your area very soon. So for right this second, no active tornado warnings, which is the good news, but still definitely some storms with big hail out there. The possibility of additional tornadoes as we head throughout this evening is there. The tornado watch is in effect for another 3 hours or so, and the low-level jet stream is just starting to kick in. Okay, I want to take a peek here. We'll break for a moment from the storms that are happening in Texas right now and talk to you a little bit about what is expected for Monday, because Monday looks like it could be kind of a big severe weather day across the country. A broad area that's going to be under the gun for severe weather on Monday. So let me first show you the risk area, and it could be a day where we have strong tornadoes out there, at least according to the Storm Prediction Center. There's already an enhanced risk that's drawn out for Monday that includes parts of the upper Midwest. And here is our day 4 probabilistic outlook by the Storm Prediction Center for Monday. And this could be kind of a large-scale outbreak in terms of severe weather. Notice you have your enhanced risk here that is drawn from Minneapolis, southern Minnesota, all the way into central western Wisconsin, through Iowa, through parts of central into western Missouri, Kansas City, Topeka, Des Moines, almost into Omaha here, all under the gun for severe weather on Monday, and significant severe weather at that, almost getting into the Chicagoland area, a broader slight risk, a 15% risk, Oklahoma City, Jefferson City, Missouri, like I said, Chicago, Eau Claire, and then into parts of the upper Midwest, into northern Minnesota, all the way up into the UP of Michigan under the gun on Monday for severe weather. And this is going to be a day where we could have some pretty ugly severe storms. So let me show you, let me get back over to some of the data here for Monday. And we're going to look at the European model here, the 18Z Euro for Monday. And if you're here watching the live earlier, we talked a little bit about Sunday. Let's talk now about Monday. So here is early Monday morning at 12Z. So near or a little bit before sunrise, you have a deepening area of low pressure, which means a strengthening area of low pressure on Monday morning, a 996 low over northern South Dakota. You may have some ongoing convection, some showers and thunderstorms here across parts of Minnesota on Monday morning, and some more showers and thunderstorms extending into parts of Wisconsin as well. And we'll see whether or not that inhibits later day convection in this area. But look at where we are convection free on Monday morning. Much of Iowa, much of Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, down through Oklahoma into North Texas is convection free early Monday morning, meaning we're not seeing showers and thunderstorms. That will set the stage for severe weather later in the day. So let's continue to go through time now. Here now is 21Z early Monday afternoon. You have thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms that fire up across southern Minnesota, and these look to be a little bit more linear in nature, meaning more of a line of thunderstorms that happen to fire up from southern Minnesota into northern Iowa. And this is more than likely going to be where we're going to have damaging winds, 70 plus miles per hour in that zone. But look at the dry line that kind of ignites here from southwest Iowa back through northeast Kansas into central Kansas, into central Oklahoma, all the way down to about Wichita Falls, Texas, is where you're going to see showers and thunderstorms that ignite along a dry line. And there might be kind of 2 areas with locally higher tornado potential on Monday afternoon. By the way, here's your deepening 993 millibar low pressure system across northern parts of Minnesota. And then you have your main line of storms in here with 70 plus mile per hour winds into parts of Michigan, late Monday afternoon, early Tuesday evening. And then supercells, this could be kind of area number 1 of higher tornado potential on Monday afternoon across western Missouri and northeast Kansas near Kansas City. And then a second area of tornado potential possibly here developing on Monday afternoon across southern Oklahoma, near the Red River, into North Texas. So we'll have to keep an eye on Area 1 and Area 2 on Monday afternoon for a heightened tornado potential. And that whole area of severe weather, the axis of severe weather, is going to shift east as we get into Tuesday, with more severe weather likely in Oklahoma, getting into Arkansas and potentially into the south there on Monday, or rather on Tuesday afternoon. And all the parameters sort of coming together for a large-scale severe weather day, perhaps more than what we've seen today and yesterday, on Monday across multiple states. So we'll have updates on that throughout the next couple of days. So it's been a while now. We have not had any tornado warnings at this particular point in time. We're probably going to wrap things up on the live stream temporarily, but before I go, I want to give you an update on our Lubbock storm. Again, no indication of a tornado or a tornado down at this point, or really much in the way of rotation at all, but this is still a significant life-threatening storm with baseball-size hail that is northwest of Lubbock, that's nearly stationary, moving to the south at about 5 miles per hour, meaning it will be in Wolfforth in the next probably 2 to 3 hours if it does eventually move south, and possibly into the west side of Lubbock within the next 2 hours. More severe thunderstorms moving into Lovington, New Mexico with tennis ball size hail, and then thunderstorms that are developing north of Amarillo with some lime size hail. No active tornado warnings at the moment. A tornado watch that remains in effect for much of the Texas Panhandle until 10 p.m. A severe thunderstorm watch southwest of there across southwest Texas from roughly Midland, Odessa, Fort Stockton, Van Horn, and southeast New Mexico, Carlsbad, severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. in that area. Now, like I said, if I didn't get to your question, feel free to send me a DM either on TikTok or wherever you're watching this live stream, and I'll get back to you and answer your question. But again, because we've been 30, 45 minutes without a tornado warning, we're probably going to wrap things up on the live stream. A lot of severe weather ahead for the next few days that we're going to cover for you. If you have any questions, comments, send them to me, send them to my DM on TikTok, and I will get back to you. I want to thank you for watching today. More content to come with the severe weather picking back up over the next